Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined a doctor as he travels the vortex, and I hope you don't take sugar in your coffee, because we're landing at episode number 166. I'm Keith.
Because Polly's not here to get it for you.
Oh,
because you get poisoned by the Cyberman.
I forgot. Okay. You really threw me with that one. I'm sorry. I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you?
Do you want to keep going, or do you want to redo that?
No, I like it.
Okay. I'm just...
No,
I was racking my brains going, did I forget to do something?
Our listeners revel in your stupidity, Sean. So. Excuse me, not stupidity, ignorance.
No, you can say stupidity.
So we're recording this late because we had the Oscars on Sunday.
We did. That's what we did this week. We went to an Oscar party.
I don't know about you, but I rewatched Thor: Dark World.
You rewatched it since you bought it?
No,
or you watched it?
I rewatched it when I bought it.
Since you've seen it in the theater. Okay, I got you. Yeah, I did too.
Did you get a steelbook copy?
No. I got the...
Good, I'd have to hurt you.
Sarah got the Loki.
Oh, that's right. You told me that. You told me that.
Gimmick buyers.
It wasn't any more expensive.
It's still gimmicky.
So
you actually went out of your way to go someplace special in order to get... Oh, sorry.
She had to go somewhere to get it. Might as well go to Target.
Yeah. Gimmicks.
We also watched John Carter. Sarah hadn't seen it.
Really?
Yep.
Ever?
She enjoyed it. She was a little too tired to really like it a lot, but she liked what it was. And other than that, just Oscars. What do you guys think of the Oscars?
Thoroughly enjoyed them this year. As far as I'm concerned, Ellen DeGeneres can host all of the Oscars from here on out. I think she's the next Billy Crystal.
Agreed.
The cool thing about this Oscars was the reason why this Oscars was a success and was so good is because it brought everybody down to the same level. It showed us that stars are people too, that they were there to have a lot of fun, and everybody was in good spirits. Well, like maybe except for Liza Minnelli, who's upset over the joke, but
she might have been a little too good of spirits.
Well,
she was upset over the joke.
She was upset. She's said today that she was upset over it. But everybody, they were all good spirited. They played along. They all had a fun time, and Ellen really.
It was the first time it felt like it wasn't a chore for everyone.
Yeah, that's true. Ellen connected with viewers, I think, is what happened, and that helped tremendously. In fact, I mean, the picture that broke Twitter, that was another thing. Twitter was the big Oscar winner this year.
I don't know why. Samsung paid for it. Twitter reaped the benefits.
Exactly. Because, I mean, and being its first year in an IPO, that's huge for them. So, I thoroughly enjoyed them. This is the first year in a long time that I hadn't seen any but I saw one Best Picture, and I only saw that the night before.
Which one?
American Hustle.
How was it?
I enjoyed it. Definitely not Best Picture caliber.
Oh, really? Because all of the hoopla that I'd heard leading up to, kind of everybody said they thought American Hustle was kind of the dark horse to watch. That's the one I voted for, and then it got blanked.
You even voted for it as well. That was your pick.
I misremembered.
But I can't say anything about the other ones because I haven't seen them. But American Hustle was enjoyable. I'm glad it got a nod. It was a good movie. It's a bit random at times. Like the story needed just a little more, but overall the performances were great. And I didn't like Bradley Cooper in it though. I didn't think he turned in his best performance, but.
He didn't win. So.
No, he didn't. Huh?
Did you ever see Silver Linings?
I did see Silver Linings Split Book, which I thoroughly enjoyed him in that, but I didn't like his acting that much.
I'm looking forward to now starting my annual post-Oscars watch all the things that were nominated.
Well, it's easy this year.
I haven't seen anything.
It's easy this year. There's a bunch of them that are already on Blu-ray.
Yeah, some already are.
So,
Gravity, Dallas Buyers Club,
12 Years a Slave.
12 Years a Slave just came out.
American Hustle.
American Hustle.
Well, I don't know if it's on.
That's sweet.
I don't know if it's on DVD. I rented it on iTunes. So apparently
it's digital, which
which
Thor
is
was available 2
that's
weeks
just it.
ahead of time.
And Frozen is available digitally now. It doesn't come out until next week. They're doing that with a lot of films now. So American Hustle is one of those ones where it's available digitally, but it's not available yet on DVD.
Yeah, but both Hustle and Frozen, I think, are later this month.
I think they said all but one of the documentaries that were nominated are on Netflix streaming.
Really?
Yeah, all but two.
Huh.
So 3 out of the 5. And so I felt kind of strange that I hadn't seen enough films this year. But
any surprises?
I think that's the thing about this one. There were no surprises, I didn't think.
I know it was rather predictable. 12 Years of... I'll tell you right now, I haven't seen it, so I'm not judging it. I'm not judging any of these films based on merit except for American Hustle. But, as everybody knows, I love Oscar season, and I follow all of the award seasons up and do all the calculations and listen to the pundits and see what the favorites are and play all the little numbers and games and whatnot to try to figure out who, and I came in second place. But anyway,
and I came in third.
But
yeah,
I would have tied. I would have
tied
if I'd have gone with the masses and went with 12 Years a Slave. But I really thought with Gravity, I pretty much knew what categories they had shored up, and I in fact, I think all of the ones I picked Gravity for won. Gravity won in the categories that I picked Gravity for. With the exception of that one, I did go with Gravity because I thought with such a big sweep and with 12 Years a Slave and knowing the Academy and how they, quote unquote, sometimes are racist, I thought for sure they might go with, they might not go with the bold move to pick the right film this year. And so I thought they'd go with Gravity, and they didn't.
So
they
you picked Gravity for Best Picture?
I did pick Gravity.
I did not.
I know, you told me you picked American Hustle.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, Gravity's the one film that I've seen out of that batch.
Right.
And it was, and I loved it. I mean, it was amazing and best film of the year, and I loved it. And it won way more awards than I thought it was going to.
That's because you, in years past, have always voted with your heart.
That's why I didn't do it this year. And I got all the way up to the end, and I thought, when
well, it still served you right.
When Alphonse Cuarón won for Best Director, I went, are they really gonna do it? And got all the way up to Best Picture, and then 12 years later, I was like, oh, well, so much for that. Because that's the other thing is the traditional, and you know this, Glenn, because of the research, but traditionally it's whatever wins for screenplay goes on to win director, goes on to win Best Picture. Yeah. Those are kind of the three indicators.
Lately they've been the last several years.
The last several years have been mixing it up.
In fact, I've kind of departed from that old, because I used to follow that rule, and I've kind of departed from that old school rule because we've had so many mix-up with directors, director category especially.
Yeah.
And so, it's.
I didn't know Her. I had no idea that was what Her was about.
Missed it by one again.
The guy falls in love with his OS. I'm really excited to watch that one now. And the fact is, I didn't know it was a Spike Jonze film. I was like, where have I been this year? Oh, yeah, work and school. So, thoroughly enjoyable. And go Ellen.
Go Ellen.
And the pizza guy.
The pizza was cool. The pizza was awesome. Again, another thing, brought it right down.
Well, and the fact that she's handing out pizza. And
the fact that it was actually impromptu.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing is there was a lot of speculation on how much of that was a gimmick, if it was planned. And she had that guy on her show yesterday, and it was completely spur of the moment. Ellen had actually ordered pizza from there for her crew one time, so she knew of the place. But basically what they did is they looked up the closest pizza place, and that was it. They brought him in. He thought he was coming to the door, going to hand it off to some producers, and they said, no, Ellen wants you. So they brought him out. He had no idea he was going to be on stage. He's a huge fan of Julia Roberts, and I was right there handing pizza to Julia Roberts. He said that was pretty cool.
I tell you what sold it was not so much that they were down in the audience doing the pizza bit. What sold it for me was when Brad Pitt got up and grabbed a stack of plates and handing out plates and napkins. And he's following along. She gives him the pizza. He's got a plate ready for you. That was what it's like, yes, more of this.
Yep. I knew as soon as I saw that it wasn't one of the big names of pizzas, that it wasn't a gimmick. That it was actually...
Yeah, if it had been like Domino's or something, I'd have kind of gone,
Yeah.
It's a sponsorship thing. It's a commercial.
Pop was really, really, really well done, too. What else did I do this week? I watched Thor, as Keith alluded to as well.
We also watched How to Train Your Dragon.
Ooh, I
I love that movie. Yeah, Sarah hadn't seen that one either. She absolutely loved it. She absolutely loved it. I have it on Blu-ray.
Oh, I need to borrow it then.
You haven't seen it?
After John Carter. No, I haven't seen it. No, I have not seen
it. I forgot how good it was. And now I'm even more excited for the sequel.
Someday when you have kids, Sean, you'll... Oh, wait. Someday when you have kids, Keith, you'll know.
That's a movie they should watch.
I know, but that's the problem.
Mason would love that.
Well, here's the thing: is I had more control over that back in the day. Now that they're old enough that they watch those films, they watch them at the sitters because she gets them to keep them entertained in the afternoon.
So now you don't get to see
them. So now they've already seen them, so we always try to pick something none of us have seen. So.
Have they seen that one? Even?
Yeah, they saw it. That's why I haven't seen it, because that's one of the ones that I threw out there a couple times. Oh, we've seen that one.
Some of the shorts aren't quite as good.
You want to come to my house and watch it sometime, Glenn?
Yeah.
you come over. We'll take care of it.
Like I have the time to go someplace and watch a movie.
I have to
you're in my scheduled class so much that there's no way that would happen.
I have to say, rewatching it, it's a bit more predictable, but it's so enjoyable that you don't mind it being predictable.
Well, I got another one coming out soon, so...
Yeah. And a TV show.
I wonder if David Tennant will be in that.
I bought Amazing Spider-Man, and I watched it, which I've seen before.
It's
and I finished Game of Thrones Series 1 on Blu-ray, DVD, actually.
Thoughts? Without spoilers, if you can do it.
Without spoilers, what?
For the first season, for anybody who hasn't watched it.
I think I'd mentioned this last week, but the first one I watched, and I was like, what is this? This isn't what I just. What was? I kept thinking, what's so special about this? It was kind of slow, and there wasn't a lot going on. And as you guys alluded to last week, it's a bit confusing. And then the last 5 minutes of it, I went, what? And so I went on and thoroughly enjoyed it. Lots of surprises.
Picks up like a freight train.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Lots of surprises. A few disappointments as far as actors that I really like that are no longer. Not just one, but two.
Shall we throw out the spoiler flag and talk about Ned?
That's probably the worst kept secret.
The worst kept secret ever.
Really? I had no idea.
Really?
I had no idea. I should have known because he dies in everything.
That and the Red Wedding. The worst kept secrets.
Even that, though, was...
Even
that.
Stop. But I don't know anything about it. I've been avoiding Game of Thrones spoilers even before, because I knew one day I would watch it. So I've been avoiding them for the longest time. The only thing I knew is that lots of people die, and people that you don't expect to die, and that surely proved truthful in Series 1. Although there was one character that I was sure would, but I love him so much that when he did, it was like, oh. And because I really, really like the actor. And if I talk too much more about it, you guys will figure out who it is. Well, the listeners that haven't heard.
He said who it was.
He did?
We're talking Ned, aren't we?
No.
Oh, we're not talking Ned.
Not even Ned.
Oh, then remind me to ask you later because I mentioned it.
Well, we talked about it at work, and I was telling you how much I liked him and how he was on a certain sitcom, and he was a whole different guy.
Okay.
And now I've totally given it away.
I don't know. That was so first season. I don't remember any of it. All I remember is Ned.
Yeah, so.
Have you guys seen the poster for season 4? Or the tagline?
No, I don't want to even know. That's the problem.
The tagline isn't a spoiler.
I don't want to know.
The tagline is "Everybody dies."
Yeah, it's all men die.
I don't want to know.
And some women.
Does it say that? Ellipses?
Yeah, and a dwarf.
No, don't.
Kill everybody.
Don't.
And the dragons.
Oh.
We're going to kill everybody.
I hate his character, but I love the guy.
How can you hate? Oh, no.
I got a love-hate relationship.
Oh, okay.
You love to hate him?
I love to hate him. He's smarmy. He's
my favorite character on the show.
I would agree. Agree. He's my favorite character. I hate the character himself, but I like the character too.
Even that, I've come to bring it on. Bring me some more of this.
I don't hate him because of the growth he goes through.
Oh, that's encouraging.
I think.
Sean, we were going to make little people jokes here, so
I'm talking straight.
Don't laugh at that.
I wasn't laughing at that.
All right, let's move on before you guys spoil something that I don't want to know.
What did you do, Sean?
I finished my flying saucer project.
Wasn't done.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Okay. What else did you do, Glenn?
Kids had award ceremonies. Mason got...
Oh, yeah. Talk about that. I didn't get to hear that.
It was just, I mean, they just come out and parade the teams across and congratulate them on a good season. Because not this last week, but the weekend before was Mason's last game. So then Caitlin played in a tournament this weekend for Upward, and they came in second place. So
very nice.
Yeah, for them.
Very nice.
Now I'm done.
Okay. I wouldn't want to interrupt that. That's a good story. I finished my UFO project for class after staying up all night after the Oscars to do it. I armored myself. I broke down and had a Coke and, had all my stuff and ready to go. And I'm going to sit down and do this. And I got into it and got stupid and couldn't figure out how to do things. And about 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm banging my head on the keyboard. And I'm just like, why isn't this working? I've rendered it like 5 times and it's just being stupid. And then realized what I was doing wrong and had to go back and fix it. And then Mel got up to go to work. And she's like, you're still up? I was like, yep. Want me to set the alarm? Yep. You going to take a nap? Nope. Why do you want the alarm set? So I know when I have to leave. And I edited all the way up to class started. And then he came in and was like, does anybody need more time? And nobody wanted to, but you could tell everybody was like, yes. So I finally said, yeah, I could use more time. I mean, I think I'm done, but it's not where I want it to be. And he goes, okay, well, we'll take a little more time. Yay! So I went and added a quick little special effect, and then we showed him in front of the class, and man, mine was head and shoulders done compared to everybody else's. It's like, really? That's what you got? I sweated all this for that? So, and then I had to go to work that
on
night.
The curve, at least you're on the top of the curve.
Well, then Quick had his done and made me look bad because his was really good. But, yeah, and then I had to go to work that night, and people looked at me, are you all right? Yeah. Brain doesn't need sleep. Brain just needs to stay wet. Finally, about 5:30, Garth said, why don't you go lay down? Go take a break. Go take a nap in the back. Okay. So I got an hour nap at work. And then he came and woke me up. I was a little angry. I finished out my shift and went home. Got up this morning, went back to class. Quick looked at me. You okay? Yeah. So... But yeah, that was, and then we watched The Rocketeer tonight. I love that movie. I love it. 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 There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It is a perfect film. I love everything about it. I love the direction. I love James Horner ripping himself off on the music. I love the performances. I love all the characters. And then Brittany tweeted me. She goes, "Oh, I love that film. We should totally do that for Flicks with Friends." And I went, I didn't even think of that.
Oh yeah, I spent on that.
You know what I love about that movie? It's a
Nothing.
Disney film.
You don't like anything?
No, I like it.
Do you like it?
I like
Okay.
it. I love The Rocketeer. Yeah,
and I especially love it in my new Steelbook. It's so.
but it's a
pretty.
Disney movie. That makes it even better.
Yeah, it's a Disney movie.
It's a Disney movie.
It is a Disney movie. I love Timothy Dalton. I love his house. And then we watched the trailer. This is okay. I have thought of something I don't love about that movie. Disney 20th anniversary Blu-ray. You know what special features are on it? The trailer. That's it. There's no photo gallery. There's no audio commentary. There's no behind-the-scenes photos. And nothing. The trailer. And the trailer sucks.
It was back before they took pictures.
Yeah, well, apparently. And the trailer.
And everybody in it's dead now, so there's no way they could have got anybody back.
What? Don't do that to
Yeah,
me.
Joe Johnson's dead.
He's not dead.
Timothy Dalton's dead.
Jennifer Connelly.
Jennifer Connelly's dead. They've all passed. I mean, they all...
Because we were on a Pling podcast.
Wait, they're
here.
not? They're not dead?
They're not dead.
Oh.
Did you announce it on the news?
No.
Have you covered this at all?
They're celebrities.
No.
We don't cover them.
Then it didn't happen.
They all died in one massive plane crash, so you'd think that we'd cover that, but for some reason we
It was
missed
a
that.
jetpack accident.
Yeah.
They were on their way to do special bonus features for the documentary, and nothing.
Actually, they were going to do The Rocketeer too. So.
Well, Billy Campbell's.
We'll never
busy.
see that now.
No, he isn't. Was he on Helix?
He's the main guy in Helix.
He's got to be.
He's looking at like he's not.
I believe that. That's what makes sense. He's got to be really good friends with Ron Moore then, because I'm pretty sure Ronald Moore wrote the episode "The Outrageous Icona," or if he didn't, he was on Next Gen at the time that Billy Campbell showed up in that one, playing Bruce Campbell's character basically. But
Ira
Stephen Bear, Ira Stephen Bear,
yeah,
yeah.
was in charge of 4400, starring
Oh, was he in that too?
You say Ira.
He was the head of.
I know Ira.
You say Ira. Oh, I think of Ira from the When Harry Met Sally.
I knew he would make the connection.
He says Ira. I go, there's only one Ira for me. It's Ira Stephen Bear.
The colored goatee.
A close second would be David Duchovny's character in Evolution.
And you're in the mall singing "Sorry" with a French on top in front of your ex-wife and Ira. Sorry.
I just don't go there with that one. It doesn't hold the
best
same
moments in movie history. I prefer that one over the
I'll have what
diner
you say.
scene. Yeah, I prefer the going off in the.
I just don't think of Ira. I think of Ira Stephen Bear from Next Gen or a DS9 producer, and I think David Duchovny in Evolution. Those are my two.
I forgot all David Duchovny's characters.
Well, the only reason I remember it is because they were talking when they were talking, and Orlando Bloom was going on and on and on about I wanted to work with Ivan Reitman. This is the guy who did Ghostbusters and blah blah blah. I so wanted to work with him. David Duchovny goes, I wanted to play a guy named Ira, and I just latched onto that. And went yes, So. No, I love the Rocketeer, but there's no special features.
Oh, yeah, Rocketeer, that's what we're talking about.
There's no special features on this Blu-ray.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, no why.
Sean, I like that your ability to, when we tangent, to just be able to bring it right back.
Well, normally I'm the one who goes down the rabbit hole. So
where we left.
I left the breadcrumbs.
You know where you left the ground and went down. Yeah, you leave the breadcrumbs. I appreciate that. Because I'd be lost without you. I'd be clear off in another, I'd be 7 tangents down the road without you.
Well, thank you. That means a lot.
We'd never get back to where
we would. Never.
I'd never get back.
Speaking of
tangents,
in a roundabout way of When Harry Met Sally, because it's another one of your kind of films, Love Actually. Matt watched About Time.
Did he love it?
He said it is his now new favorite film almost of all time. He says he doesn't think it'll surpass Amelie, but he went out and bought it the next day.
Surpass what?
Amelie is his favorite.
Amelie? Oh, yeah.
That French film.
Gotcha.
That French film. But he's given Love Actually such big glowing reviews, and you guys give. But so I finally sat and watched it, and he gave the same glowing review to About Time, and then bought it the next day. Matt doesn't spend money on movies anymore, so for him to buy it was kind of like wow. So
okay,
I keep hearing.
I need to see it.
That quality caliber level of stuff.
Add it to the ever-growing list of movies that I need to see.
Yeah. I'm sure you can borrow it from one of us at some point.
1963 also loved it, I believe.
Oh, 1963 loved it?
Marcus 1963.
Marcus 1963.
Yeah.
Which one is that?
Mark. I'm pretty sure that's Mark Lee.
That's a good guess. It's Mark.
That's not Alex. We established that, didn't we?
I keep having this problem.
Marcus 1963, that's got to be Stan.
So, while we're on that subject, I just want to throw
Island
out...
Dude's not a dude.
Dude is not a dude.
Holly from Wisconsin apparently is no longer in Wisconsin. Everybody's moving. I don't know. She's still there.
Sean has now moved one of our listeners from one state to another. Not only did you have Michelle living in an entire other province, now you've moved Holly from Wisconsin.
I was making a joke because she stopped putting.
I hope she bought you pizza for helping her move.
Oh, I didn't get pizza. Holly, you owe me pizza. That's how that works. While we're on that subject, I want to
moving?
No,
or about Love Actually, or about time?
No, about pizza.
Oh, pizza.
No, I'm kidding. About our listeners. Because
I think I know where you're going.
You're right. I didn't know. Well, you probably don't because I just thought of this.
Yeah. Oh no.
I want to throw out a once again because I don't think we've done it enough recently. I just want to say thank you again to everybody who listens to us and puts up with us and invites us into their homes and their cars and their ears. And thank you for your support and for.
Sometimes it's waxy in there. But.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Phil's got a thing, but.
Let's just insult each one of them as we go.
I'm working my way down the list. I got a whole list of people here.
Holly doesn't live in Wisconsin anymore.
I don't want to alienate anybody.
Phil's got some weird ill ear thing, apparently.
Well, it's what's throwing his driving off. His inner balance is...
I concur with your statement.
The first half of it, anyways.
Or about Dr. Phil's ear.
No, thank you, everybody.
I
was going to give a shout out to Brittany, because she just started her next ABC's a Photo Challenge, and it's a big finish audio.
I got to catch up now because I didn't realize I forgot to visit her site when
I didn't finish
she
the book
announced
titles.
So you should put that in the show notes. Her blog.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that would be a good thing.
Yeah, sure.
But once again, thank you for everybody. And yes, even though we may poke fun and forget who you are and your Twitter handles and where you live,
We've got thousands of listeners
because we've got so many of you. But don't think that don't think it's not from the heart that we do that. So thank you. Okay, I'm done. You can go on now. Where were we?
Here. Did you do anything else?
Ditto.
Let's move on to news.
Yeah,
I didn't do anything else.
Did you tell us what you did this week?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you did.
I watched movies.
He watched a lot of movies.
Lots of
3
movies.
of them.
And they're the Oscars.
Yeah.
All right, what's
I'm trying to think of anything else.
what's
If you haven't figured it
this
out by
show is
now,
already derailed, and we haven't gotten to news yet.
if you haven't figured it out by now, it's going to be one of those.
All right. Well, our first bit of news is a new character announcement on
Samuel
Doctor Who.
Anderson
Mr.
has
Anderson.
joined the cast of Doctor Who as a recurring character for Series 8.
Key words, people. Recurring character.
So you don't consider Vastra and Jenny and Strax companions?
Well, we are yet to see if he travels. Well, I guess they didn't travel. Well, yes, they did travel in the TARDIS, so...
Do you consider them companions, or do you consider them reoccurring characters?
Reoccurring companions.
The Master's a reoccurring
See, I don't think you
character.
can jump. I don't think you can jump anybody's throats for calling him a companion already
Yeah, I can.
when we don't know, other than the fact that it just says he's a recurring
We
character.
don't know how
character.
often he's going to recur.
He might be a companion as well.
Would you consider Jackie Tyler a companion?
She's traveling in the TARDIS.
But would you consider her a companion?
No,
I think I would.
Ignoring that
I think I would.
caveat,
Yes,
would
I
you-
think I would.
You would.
I would. Mickey.
But when did
People that aren't companions, I wouldn't consider Martha's mom or dad a companion. But
They showed up more than once.
they did show up
So
more
they're
than once.
recurring
They are a
characters.
recurring character. But,
Mike, rest my case.
But
I'm not saying I'm not excited about the guy. I'm not saying that I'm not excited about the possibility of there
Jackie
being
was
another
there more
companion.
frequently, too. So.
Yeah. I'm not going to jump on the character bandwagon until he's a companion.
Actually, Jackie only qualifies as a companion because the Doctor had to pretend that she was his companion.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Had to pretend that she was Rose.
At that point, it became official. Up until then, she was a recurring character.
He's going to play a guy named Danny Pink.
I'm just saying. I think you're getting a little too defensive.
I'm not getting defensive. I'm just...
You are.
No, I'm
That's
not.
the fans
You
getting
did.
excited.
Keyword.
Keyword.
Reoccurring character.
Keep reading.
He also teaches at Coal Hill High School.
Now I'm excited.
Now he's a companion.
No, now he's a teacher.
Is he a science teacher?
Ooh.
He could be.
Yeah, but Barbara taught history. That doesn't work.
What does Clara teach?
I assume
She didn't really
English.
I
think she's English.
Know.
She was writing on the
Clearly,
board.
it's not computers. Oh wait, no.
Although she should.
She got all that downloaded into her head, though.
But
so.
she doesn't know how to use Airplane, so.
Yeah, right. That's true.
She can't fly the TARDIS.
Oh, update's up.
Moffat,
Yay!
I just got an announcement for it, so
Moffat
we may have to jump ahead.
Moffat says for the fourth time in
We gotta get through news quickly,
history, Coal Hill is coming to the aid of the TARDIS.
Yay.
Yay!
Danny
That sounds
Pink
fun.
will be entering the world of Doctor Who, but how and why? The answers are coming later this year in Peter Capaldi's first series of Doctor Who.
Is this his
Is
first?
that all that
series?
says? Is
Oh, there's a bit more.
later. Okay, keep going.
No, okay. I jumped over a bunch. Because it goes over in 1963, teachers Ian and
Yeah, blah, blah,
Chesterton.
blah.
That's, no, first series of Doctor
Blah, blah,
Who
blah, blah.
is the end of the statement.
Oh.
There was, in
That's
the middle.
not the same one that I read then. I was excited. The one that I read said something to the effect of Moffat says later this year, and then the article concluded with Doctor Who returns in August, and it wasn't expected to return. It wasn't might return. It
I don't
wasn't
know
we
where you
think
saw
it will
that.
return.
Only the
It said Doctor Who returns in August, and I saw that on two different sites, and I thought, wow. Everybody's so excited about the new companion that we're skipping over the fact that we've got a date and nobody's talking about it. They quietly snuck that in on us that it's August.
Let me go to the official announcement, because that was on a different site.
I've been under the impression it was going to be August for a long time. I had no firm confirmation about that till now, but...
I'm August. You heard it here. Easter weekend.
I wanted to...
Wait a minute.
Oh.
No, it's Easter Saturday. That's what it is.
Getting updates. Okay, all right. I'm getting ahead of us. Okay. So, new companion announced. Reoccurring character
New reoccurring character announced. Show returns in August. Okay, what's next?
Some news from...
Timothy Dalton's not dead. Keep going.
Behind the scenes of Lego.
So Lego has
revealed some
resolved
possibilities.
a past licensing conflict of Doctor Who.
You gonna let me set you up or not? You told me you can't see my list.
I have the list. I don't have the list of feedback.
Oh,
the order of
right.
feedback. I have the list
I'm
of
mistaken.
the order of news.
All right.
That's it for that.
1,000 points, Keith.
Keith doesn't believe that's going to happen. I don't know why. He doesn't think it'll happen.
Okay, here's my stance on it. 100% on board for a video game. I think character options are doing a better job designing than what some of the
here it
fan
comes.
stuff
Really?
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the head's being sculpted specifically for each person. Customizes it and makes them look so much better than the Lego head.
Really?
That's my opinion.
I don't like it because they look like fake Legos. No, seriously, it's the best. So far, it's
the
been
Lego
the best
Legos
we
or
had.
the character minifigs.
The character minifigs look like fake Legos, and it's always bothered me.
I agree, they look like fake
Because
Legos.
I
agree with you though that I think the facial expressions these look more like
head
doctors
shapes.
than the.
It gives them more
That,
character.
you
The
can't,
characters
that's
thing.
a
I understand
mock-up
it's- I
that not
understand
even
it's a
Lego
mock-up,
has
but
done.
I understand it's
Lego
somebody in
won't
there.
change the head.
No, you're just going to have that standard head.
It's
but-
going to be that regardless with a
Yeah.
different face paint.
Yeah, I've liked the character options because of the fact that it's the or character builders character options. What is it?
I don't know what they're minifigs.
The
Character options.
character options because it's the only thing we've had and it's the closest thing to Lego. But I'll be more excited because I think Lego sets, regardless of the little minifigs, Lego sets look much better than the character option stuff in any line that they've done, Doctor Who or not.
See, I've only ever played with the one set, so I don't know.
Yeah, so I think the sets will be remarkably better if this even happens. That's the other thing
that's
is
the thing.
there's a whole lot of speculation
There's
that
a
this
lot
is
of
going to
jumping to
happen
conclusions.
based on the fact that they announced that, and everybody's saying, well, they wouldn't have put it out there that they have the opportunity.
They didn't
That's
put it
not
out there.
true.
It was just-
They respond to speculation. And whenever something changes in the industry for them, that is how they respond, and that's what they happened to do with Doctor Who this time. They responded when they got when a issue was resolved with, and I'm going to forget now. I read an article about this. I think it might have been the Back to the Future figures. They responded on that. That didn't necessarily mean they were going to make them, but
Right.
my point is that they always, if there's a question about licensing, Lego is a good enough company to let its customers know what's going on within the industry, within its company, and that's how they related that. It was an answer to many questions of when will we get
And that's,
Doctor Who Legos.
you're right. That is an important definition to make. There are no Doctor Who Lego sets at this time. There has not been an announcement of Doctor Who Lego sets forthcoming. All we have is Lego announcing the rights issues that prevented them from making a Doctor Who set have been cleared up, resolved, ended, whatever, and that it is now a possibility. And so people are putting their designs up on, and we're criticizing a prototype of something that doesn't exist and hasn't been announced.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. Lego uses that to gauge public opinion.
Right. But I agree with Keith that I think the facial, the hair and everything that the current minifig line has looks more like the Doctor's to me. But I do like the character mock-ups that have been presented thus far. I've not been impressed with the head facial paints so far. But I don't know how Lego fixed that. So
I'm trying to find, and I can't find it now, previous conflict resolutions that were that were updated.
Well, I saw a link
that
on an article
did
that I
not-
read.
that they haven't made anything
Yeah,
on.
exactly.
So, I
well,
mean,
did they actually make the Back to the Future sets? Or were
I believe
those
that
are
they
those
made
still
a
in
really
mock-up?
bad looking DeLorean. I believe
Because they were supposed to-
there's an official line.
Is there?
Lego-
At one point in time, I heard they were going to do the Hill Valley Courthouse play set.
I've
and
only
kind
ever
of,
seen
There's
the
only
DeLorean.
there's
Only seen
only,
the
yeah,
DeLorean.
there's only
Okay.
DeLorean and
and
some
I'm
character
impressed
bits.
by it.
yeah, well, it looks like a car. gray. But
regardless, Lego has an opportunity now to get in on the Doctor Who merchandise.
Yes.
So let's not talk toys. Let's talk the video game. Let's talk about the Doctor Who Lego video game that's going to be coming out eventually.
Which let's be realistic. I'm sorry, but that's even further down the pipeline than any actual toys.
Sure. Yeah, well, they have to have an established toy
line now with the games anyway, that even when the toys come out, it's still going to be down the line because they've got so much going on there with Lego with their video games.
They got to make 2 games for The Hobbit.
3.
No, there's 2. There's only going to be 2 games. There's going to be 2 games.
There's only going to be 2 games. They're going to split Desolation of Smaug and
I don't know. They're doing the first 2. And then they're going to do an Indiana Jones with it and re-release it.
Why?
I hate when they do, because they can make more money that way.
Yeah.
It's a money grab.
They're impatient.
An Indiana Jones, is it a reissue of an Indiana Jones paired with, or is it a new Indiana Jones
like
camp?
they did with Indiana Jones.
They're going to pull an Indiana Jones. I get you.
I'm glad you understood what
I know exactly what you meant, because that frustrated the heck out of me. I'm glad that they changed enough of the mechanics of the game play to make it worth my money to buy it again. But
really, if they're smart, they would have waited. If they're
now that Disney's announced 2 more indie films.
Well, no, I meant for Hobbit.
Oh,
or release the last film as DLC only instead of disc-based.
Yeah,
that'd be a smart way to
do it. You alienate a lot of back in that day. You alienate a lot of customers that way.
But now, for Hobbit,
despite the fact that I'm going to argue this in a minute, Lego wants to get discs in the hands of kids. That's very much why they wouldn't do a DLC there. But I brought up the Lego video game to Quick at lunch today, and he was like, "That'll never happen." I was like, "Yeah, it will, and here's why." And I gave him the spiel, and I got him excited about a game that doesn't exist yet. And then he said, "I don't know, is it really Doctor Who big enough for Lego?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
All 50 years?
Big enough? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You mean
could split it into like 5 games?
I think when you think Lego, you think Star Wars and things. But I think Doctor Who falls into that.
At least new series, they would, and that's what they would focus on. I mean, they clearly. I mean, there might be some that might be the added extra stuff. Is stuff from years past, but I mean the stories will focus on. I mean, let's be realistic here.
It'll probably go through each season.
Yeah, the focus will be on the new series.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure you'll be able to
unlock old
go into the thing and unlock old doctors and characters and monsters and that kind of stuff.
Probably there might be even like bonus levels that are classic stories. But
things that are available on Netflix,
right?
The Genesis of the Daleks level, But it'll be. I mean, I have no delusions that we're going to see a Merker or a Candyman or in this video game.
They might make those available as characters.
We're talking about a game that doesn't exist of a Lego series that
considering how many characters are just in Lego Marvel.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. They could do it.
Yeah, I totally think they could do it, and I think the series is popular enough, and because Lego and Doctor Who kind of have that cross demographic that the collectors of one are into the other. You know what I mean?
No.
Well, we're into Lego.
Doctor Who fans like Lego.
Yeah,
Lego fans like Doctor Who.
I would think Lego fans would like Doctor Who.
Venn diagram. There's a nice big.
That's the word. Venn diagram.
I'm not trying to be difficult here, but I don't see the dichotomy there. Why would automatically assume Lego fans are fans of Doctor Who and vice versa?
Because it fits the niche geek persona for the same reason that Star Wars fans tend to also like certain other things for the same reason that.
But okay, there are Star Wars Legos, but I would not even presume that the majority, or even a minority of, well, obviously there's some minority. I wouldn't presume that a majority for certain of Star Wars fans like Lego, and there is a Lego Star Wars crossover there.
I think that's a safe bet.
I don't think it's founded.
Wouldn't you think it's a safe bet?
I don't know where how it's founded.
I'd say not every, but there's probably enough.
I would think there's enough.
Well, I think that you could say that with any fandom, though. So I mean, that's why. Why are you singling out Doctor Who?
Because we're a Doctor Who podcast talking about Doctor Who and Lego.
No. But I'm going to be pedantic here. But
I would think there's enough crossover in Firefly that
that's
Lego
just
would do
it. You could paint that broad brush anyway. It doesn't support the theory.
Here's the difference. I would think the Firefly fandom, the browncoats, the really hardcore fans, I would say the majority of them are also fans of Lego. I would be willing to put money
Why?
on that. The mentality is there. Don't ask me to explain how I know this. I just do. I'm psychic.
All right. I'm going to take...
Here's the difference, though. As much as I would like it to be, Firefly's not big enough to support Lego. There's nothing that, as much as I would love to see it, there's nothing that Lego could do and license out Firefly and go, hey, look, here's the Serenity. It wouldn't sell enough to make sense. Doctor Who, I think, does. Again, because that mentality is there, where I think the people who are into one are also into the other.
I think it's just
I think you're way off base.
Big enough that...
I don't think that's the reason why they would do it. I think there are other reasons why they would do it.
The reasons are dollar signs. That's the reason to do it.
It's getting big enough that there are headlamps that have Daleks on it in the U.S.
I think just for the sheer fact that it's a program that young people like and would also equally be a popular game that young people would like. That's where I think it falls down.
Okay.
And I think that's what makes it most likely, not the fact that Doctor Who fans are also Lego fans. Because I'm a fan of the games. I'm not a fan of Legos necessarily. What they've done is they'll make... Because, I mean, I've got one Lego set of Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I have one little Lego set of Star Wars because it's Star Wars. So that's... I think that if Lego makes Doctor Who, I will buy Legos based on that. But I'm not a Legos fan. I'm a fan of games,
you apparently haven't bought the Legos that are Star Wars based.
I haven't. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm clearly not. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but it doesn't make me a Legos fan.
He's not in the middle section of your Venn diagram.
He's not in the middle section of my Venn diagram.
Well, your Venn diagram probably barely crosses over, too, is my point.
No, I think it's much bigger than that. I just think that because you're the exception to that rule. You are my kryptonite.
Let's move on.
By the way, the official announcement on Danny Pink says coming later this year.
That's Moffat's words. Isn't it Moffat's words?
Yeah, and then it says filming recently began on episode 4 of the new series and episode 5. That's it.
What's coming later this year?
Doctor Who.
You're back on the August
I went back
thing.
to debunk his...
You're not debunking anything. You just I have to find the article. I'll look for it.
We're back to trying to prove Sean wrong.
Listeners, write in. Simple yes or no. Do you like Lego and Doctor Who?
Well, if they're listening to the show, I hope they like Doctor Who.
Actually, don't write in. Can we get a poll?
Yeah, make a poll.
Put a poll on the site.
I don't know how to do it.
Make sure
I do Facebook polls. You do website polls. So,
all right,
but just a simple
I'll make
poll.
a post after this episode goes out.
Are you into Lego as well as Doctor Who?
I'll do 3 options. Do you like Lego? Do you like Doctor Who? Do you like both?
See, I don't think that works because you have to first of all listen to this episode. I think if you went on there, that you're going to get a lot of people that just go to the website, don't listen to the episode.
That's what we want because if they've listened to this, they're going to choose sides. I don't want that. I want impartial. Yeah, I'm into both. Click. Yeah, I wonder why they asked that.
I think the question has to be posed. Do you think that the majority of Doctor Who fans are also Lego fans? I don't think that's true.
That's a different question.
But that's how
your question.
That's how you're trying to justify the answer to you, or the reasoning behind your...
too much time on a conflict resolution. That's not going to happen in
What's coming
5
up?
years.
What's next in news? What's up?
Titan Comics released previews of the first covers of the new series, the 10th Doctor and the 11th Doctor.
Are they actually preview comics?
No, covers.
Or preview covers of the comics? I thought it was just sample artwork.
No. That's
it is actual
covers,
cover.
yeah.
Okay, the cover for like the first issue
in July.
I like
probably
the cover.
an alternate, and there were probably.
I'm sure there'll be a dozen alternate covers, but that's what they've released right now for the cover.
I like them.
I think they look great. I think the artwork's wonderful.
And
you can't judge the interior of the book based on the cover.
Never judge a book by its cover.
But the covers look fantastic.
The range will launch July 23rd. I hadn't seen that before.
Oh, I hadn't either.
Did you hear some of the scuttlebutt?
Right before August.
Did you hear some of the scuttlebutt about the concern for the UK? Well, that's pretty.
That's the artist's website.
Showing more things that listeners can't see. Keith will add these photos to the website so you can go look as well.
Oh, wait, is that James Hands?
Nope.
It's not James Hands?
Nope.
It sure looks like James Hands.
It's not James Hands.
Again, we're talking about something that nobody can see. Let's move on.
Do you like Lego?
Did you guys hear the scuttlebutt about the concerns in the UK?
No.
Well, Titan is a UK-based company, but unfortunately, Doctor Who comics can only be released by Doctor Who magazine, the publishers of Doctor Who magazine. And so what's going to happen is those comics are manufactured in the UK with a broad base of subscribers and people that are going to pick them up in the US. And so that's their bread and butter. But unfortunately, the people in the UK are going to suffer a markup on the comic books because what happens is because they can't be distributed in the UK because of a licensing agreement that hasn't been ironed out yet with BBC Worldwide, the comics are shipped to the US and then they are distributed out and then distributed back from wholesalers or from retailers.
Are you kidding me?
Back to 10th Planet so that they can then distribute them and mark them up because they've been twice imported. Isn't that crazy? So there's some. Now I'm getting this information from a couple of articles that were begging BBC Worldwide to iron that out, especially since Titan is a British.
Surely they will iron that out.
I would hope so.
Surely Doctor Who magazine will be cool enough to iron that one out.
That was the understanding from the articles that I read that there's because of a distribution snafu or issue, rights issue with the Doctor Who magazine. They can't distribute in the UK.
Okay, so...
Isn't that crazy?
I vote that we pool our resources and we buy a boat and we go all pirate on the transport ships and we raid them for their Doctor Who comics and then go Robin Hood and distribute them to the poor people in England who cannot get them.
Not even sell them to them at cover
Not
price.
Even sell them to them at cover price. Just give them away.
Give them away.
We would
Thoughts
be
and opinions
gods.
of Sean are not necessarily that of traveling the Vortex for legal reasons. Speaking of covers,
threatening piracy,
looks like
it sounds like you're threatening piracy, and I'm not talking about the kind where you're downloading music.
Oh no, they come after me for that. Of course, I haven't seen Captain Phillips. I don't know how that one turns out.
Captain Sean. Who'd play you in the movie?
Ooh.
Did you hear that guy that
John
played
Cusack.
I can't remember the man's name that was nominated for an Oscar just this last weekend is broke.
Yeah.
He got $63,000 for that role 3 years ago. He has no money. He moved back home, was selling watches or something, for cell phones or something like that. He has no money. He can't get another job. He's been trying to get another gig in Hollywood and he can't. Hopefully this will help, but getting at least a nomination for it. But the suit that he wore at the Oscars is presumably the same suit he's wore to all of the award shows. It's like the only one he owns. Now, fortunately, Columbia has been, from the article that I read, been providing him with a room at like a Beverly Hills suite. So he's had that for like the last, I think it's 3 weeks, 4 weeks while he's been doing the award circuit. They've been shuttling him around town in a car. So they've been treating him well. But he basically made $63,000 off that picture, and that was it. That's all he got.
Wow.
So I'm sure he gets some residuals and royalties, but
I guarantee you the day after the awards ceremony, they came kicking his door.
I hope so.
And said,
but
you haven't done anything for us lately.
Yeah,
Get out of our room.
You didn't win, so go home.
Return
I guess
the suit.
they paid for his airfare and everything out. But anyway, so there you go. Little Captain Phillips. Sean's
Continuing
piracy.
on with-
I'm working my way back.
new.
Where are the breadcrumbs?
Soon,
Speaking of covers,
in
that's
the
what I
U.S., you won't have to pirate in a DVD copy of Adventure in Space and Time from Canada.
2 segues.
Nice. Very nice.
Recently, it's closed now, but there was a poll to vote.
It's closed now. I just
So
found out
hopefully
about
you
it
saw
tonight.
I forgot to do it till tonight. Oh,
There's a
closed.
poll to vote on the cover an Adventure in Space and Time for wide release in North America. There's no date. They were just looking for feedback on 4 different possible cover art choices. And there's no word if it's either Blu-ray or DVD or both. This news would have been a lot better if we had recorded on Sunday.
Well, I'll tell you, I think what we can garner out of that now is that
it's coming.
It's coming, yeah.
Well,
because we've been hanging out there wondering if we were even going to get it in the...
I was this close
I say North
to giving
America.
Rachel money.
I should say in the United States, because Canada did get it. So,
damn it.
Boy, now not only do you know where she lives, but you don't know her name anymore.
If you Twitter Michelle, she'll be happy to buy stuff for you.
Especially some of these cookies that we're still enjoying this week, Michelle. Thank you very much.
Yes.
What's next?
I need to Instagram my lanyard. I have my Canadian pin on my lanyard at work.
The Canadian
My
pin?
Canadian pin is on my lanyard. That one was done on purpose.
Is that the one she brought from Canada?
Yeah.
There's
But
some,
not Vancouver.
Right, Toronto, right?
No. I see you.
There's been some recent con announcements for the U.S. Matt Smith and Karen Gillian both will be at, I think Karen was previously announced, at Louisville Comic Con.
You got a different list than I do. You got a different list. We had slates for Sarah in there.
Oh, yeah, that's supposed to be him. He's too busy eating a cracker.
No, I have it pulled up. I was waiting for somebody to throw me a... I didn't know that was the order.
You're right, it's a biscuit, not a cracker.
Louisville, Kentucky, not Louisville, Nebraska. Which I learned tonight. There is, in fact, a Louisville, Nebraska.
And for those in our neck of the woods...
there's no con at Louisville, Nebraska.
A bit more
it's Louisville,
exciting
Kentucky.
is that Karen Gillian will be at St. Louis Comic Con in April.
Which Keith and Sarah are attending.
Yes, I already purchased my tickets. 4th, 5th, and 6th. That's in addition to a number of people like Summer Glau and Nathan Fillion and Elijah Dushku.
You could drive there in a day and drive back.
I thought about it.
My dad and I did that one time. We had to go pick up some furniture. He used to work for a company called Cardinal Brands. They were in Lawrence. The distributor of the paper, it was a paper company, they are in St. Louis. And they asked us to rent a U-Haul and drive out there and pick up some furniture and bring it back. To Cardinal Brands, I didn't get any of it, so it didn't go to my house.
For those
why I was
planning,
laughing.
Karen Gillian will only be at St. Louis on Sunday. So
Important safety note.
Yes.
That's only a few hours from, yeah, it's about halfway for Rachel.
Yeah, Rachel.
By halfway, I mean between here and there, so. Halfway to Indiana, halfway to...
A lot of good guests if you haven't gone to look at the list.
Yeah, check them out. WizardWorld.com.
Did you want to talk a little bit about Slates for Sarah before we launch into the update?
I would like to talk just a little bit about Slates for Sarah. For anybody who hadn't heard, Sarah Jones, who was, what did we determine she was? A second unit director?
I couldn't figure it out.
Or second assistant camera operator. I'm going to totally disgrace her memory.
She worked in the movie industry.
She worked in the movie industry. And she was killed this past, I think it was February 20th. She's, according to this, she was the camera assistant who was killed by a train on February 20th during the shooting of Greg Allman's biopic Midnight Rider. And what makes this kind of a big deal is the fact that the movie industry in general has kind of risen up in support of her because it's,
she was a camera assistant.
She was a camera assistant. This is not normally a job that should be ever put in harm's way, especially as I've long maintained on train tracks. I think it's completely idiotic that anybody ever dies by train. I mean, they can only go in one area. They're on the tracks. Stay off the tracks, you're okay. And the fact that she was put in danger by her job, who apparently, as more details are coming out, did not have permission to be on the tracks. The train company didn't know they were there, on and on and on. So it's kind of becoming a big deal. So they've done what's called Slates for Sarah, where other people in the industry are putting, in memory of Sarah Jones, on their clapboard slates, to kind of show support.
Which Doctor Who has done.
Which Doctor Who has done in support of that. Now, there apparently is some confusion. There was a Sarah Jones who worked on the Five-ish Doctors. And a lot of people were attributing that this was the same Sarah Jones. And Peter Davidson tweeted earlier this week and clarified that while he's saddened by the loss and the tragedy, that this was not, in fact, the same Sarah Jones. So it's a different one who worked on that film. But in any case, we are saddened by the news and thoughts, prayers, meditations, etc. out to her family.
Absolutely.
And it's just...
and much support for that cause, I believe. I think they're absolutely right in that
I agree.
concept that there should be more safety protocols because those people should not be any sort of harm's way. No one should be in harm's way, but it's a little different for somebody that is in a profession that's dangerous and somebody that's in a profession that should have no or very little element of danger at all. So,
yeah. And she wasn't she was the last of the Oscar montage as well. They didn't do a picture, but they did her name and then more at as part of the memorandum segment.
I apparently missed that.
How did I get the 10 o'clock news story?
I don't know. But
you brought it.
That's why I left the kicker.
Now into something happy. Here's a dancing bear.
How's that epilogue level, Glenn?
You know, it's actually pretty good. It's difficult because there's no red gems. And the epilogue is not a separate area. They're actually integrated into Series 6, so don't let it confuse you.
No red gems. I better
very, very last one. Then. Yeah. The nice thing is, my Dinosaurs on Spaceship team, no red characters. Yes, Doctor Who Legacy has been stringing us along all day long today. Actually, they haven't. They've been gems about this. They've kept us relatively up to date, but we've been talking all day long about this huge update. Which, if you had listened to our interview last week, you already knew that there was a update coming this week.
A big one.
The big one is new characters and an epilogue for Series 6. The other thing that they have included in the update is they have added more cutscenes. So there's more story development, some more story explanation, which I think was one of the things that we criticized, or at least I criticized.
Mildly.
Yeah, mildly criticized. Yeah, because there's nothing I could heavily criticize about this game. But yeah, that was one of my critiques, or one of the things that I thought I would like to see was more cutscenes, more storytelling, more story involvement. They obviously listened to the fans, or just listened to me, and they have given us what we wanted, and that is great. And
they've added cutscenes to previous stories.
They have they have added cutscenes to previous stories, not just the epilogue stories, but apparently the previous story editions also help tell the story leading up to flesh out the story to the epilogue as well, and make the epilogue make a little more sense.
Flesh.
We don't know too much more about other than what we've heard, because we're all just now seeing this update. What happened was they announced it earlier today to keep an eye out for it. A lot of iOS and Android users got patches and updates throughout the day in preparation. Unfortunately, it took a little longer on their end getting the various stores, because they added Kindle today. Actually, they added the Amazon store so that Kindle users could get the game, which is now newly available in Kindle. So if you are a Kindle user and you don't have any of the other systems, you can now get Doctor Who Legacy on Kindle. And because of that, they were squaring away all three stores. We finally got an update 12:47 Central Time this evening, which isn't, well, they promised it today, and now it's the next day, but at least for us. But hey, we got it. That's the important thing.
It's still today on the West Coast.
It is still today on the West Coast, although it's tomorrow in England where they're actually based. But absolutely awesome. I'm so excited that this game continues to grow, that this continues to they promise to give us new content, and they follow through. It looks like they're doing some really clever things, and this is just to whet our appetite, really, guys, because as he mentioned in the interview that Sean did with him as well, it was Lee Cummings. Lee Cummings mentioned that there's a lot more. There's Series 5 will be coming. It was forthcoming. This is something to kind of reward us and placate us until that new update comes. So be sure to get out there and get your apps updated and check out all of the new goodness on Doctor Who Legacy. And obviously, when we get a little more of a chance to delve in and see what goodies are in here, we'll obviously bring more on next week's show, which will be a lot sooner this week, because we'll actually record on Sunday next week.
Well, maybe not, actually.
Why?
I'm working overnight.
Oh, you are working overnight. Well, all right.
Well, Keith had to go and screw it up for everybody.
More information to come on that.
We'll keep you posted.
We'll keep you posted.
As always, make sure that if you haven't yet, go vote for Doctor Who Legacy for Best App Ever.
That's right.
And where can they do that at, Glenn?
They're in the puzzle category. I don't remember now.
Voting's still going.
Go to links in the show notes.
That's it for news.
All right. Well,
that's a lengthy news segment.
I suppose we should move into feedback.
Feedback. First up, Robert. Robert writes in comment question. Hello. First, thanks to Sean for finding me on Goodreads and sending a friend request. I was happy to approve. If anyone else would like to send a request, please do so.
Hi, Robert.
Hi, Robert.
That leads to my question.
And I think we're friends on. I think maybe I added him this week.
I also added him. That brings up his question. Have you thought of creating a Traveling the Vortex book club on Goodreads?
No, we haven't.
Set up monthly read-alongs, such as Sword and Laser Club podcast does. This would be a place to talk books, and not just Who books. I will admit, as an author, I might have a horse in this race, but I also think it might be another way for TTV to distinguish itself. Name me another Who podcast review and talk about books. I think he's got a good idea.
I think he's got a really good idea.
He's onto something there. I think the majority of the focus, as is with this podcast, I think the majority of the focus would be Doctor Who books, but I certainly think we could branch out.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, if we can do Flicks with Friends, we can do, hey, let's read this month, week, whatever. Yeah.
I set a goal for myself, by the way, speaking of good weeds. That's the Colorado-based website. Goodreads. I set a goal of 30 books because I'm not Chrissy. I'm not a reader. I read. I like to read. I enjoy reading. I don't have a lot of time for reading, but I set a goal for 30 books and realized that I'm already 3 books in. So that's pretty good for me.
Pretty good.
We're only 2 months in. Well, we're in the 3rd month. So
30 for the whole year?
Yeah. That's a book a month. Wait. Oh, I'm way behind.
You might want to pick it up.
I might want to pick that up a little bit.
We'll get you some Curious George.
I was surprised that
don't start Game of Thrones.
Oh, no, don't worry.
No, that's a great thing. I miss reading. So I can't wait to be done with school so I can go back to doing things recreationally.
I read a lot before kids. Actually, I read a lot now. It's just kids' books, 2 kids. So.
The Very Hungry Caterpillar. Again!
Well, the nice thing is Mason's into like superhero books, so we've got a lot of like Thor and the Avengers and Captain America, so those are always fun to read over and over again.
Well, thank you, Robert. I definitely think that we will take
He's
that
not
up.
done.
Oh, he's not done. Okay.
For me,
I haven't read this.
There's also the fact that I'm not at Goodreads all that much. If it wasn't for Sword and Laser, I might only check in once a week. It's the only book. It's the only club that I've remained interested in. It's not for the monthly book picks, though I've read some, and now I want to read others. It's the side discussions about books and sci-fi that's happening in the SNL club. I might not take part in very many discussion threads, but there seems to be at least one new thread a week worth following, at least worth a while. I'm curious to find out if any of you guys...
Glenn's tempting us with this legacy update. Sorry, Robert. We're not meaning to be disruptive.
Yeah, put it away, Glenn.
Yeah, put it away, Glenn.
I'm curious to find out if you guys have felt that way, or if any other listeners have had that experience. I'd also like to know if anyone else thinks a TTV Goodreads book club would be worth doing. I think
I guarantee that we have a couple other people that I'm sure would be all over that.
And the full show about Galley. I do plan on buying the Rift Tracks Dalek Invasion of Earth video on demand in March. Try to remember and send in some comments on it when I see it. Yours, Robert. Thank you, Robert. Good to hear from you again.
It's good to hear from you, and it's a very good idea. I definitely think that we could probably get several people on board to maybe ramrod that for us.
We have a lot of readers.
Vicarious readers, apparently.
Absolutely.
As far as what was the part here? Have felt that way. If you specifically meaning about the book club, I don't think any of us had given 2 thoughts to it before now. If you're meaning the discussions threads and things like that, I just joined Goodreads, so it's kind of new to me in general. But there are a lot of things out there that I spend way too much time debating and getting into and enjoying the lively commentary. until I get a spoiler, and then it's like, well, I'm done with this.
I don't spend a lot of time on Goodreads either, but I do like check in occasionally, or at least once a week, an update when I'm reading.
Yeah, I got involved in Goodreads because it was a good place to leave. Because I always appreciate those kind of sites that, a lot of people say, oh, it's just another social media, site. I like those sites that are constructive in the fact that if I want to read a book, I can find out more about it, find out what average readers thought about it, and it links me with people that are appreciate the same types of things that I do.
Yeah,
and
gives
so
you good suggestions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I can get a good heads up, and I also feel that there's a give and take. That if I'm using that site for to get reviews and use it to get information on books that other people have read, I feel like I have to contribute as well. So I make sure that I obviously everything that's up there that I've posted has not got a review, but I try when I can to have a review, at least, even if it's just a sentence or two, just to give my opinion on something, because that's what it's a good resource for that. People are coming there to find out if
what
if
I
something's
really
good
like
or
it
not.
for is the building the shelf of here's the books I want to read, so I can keep track of them easily.
Yeah, it's certainly a good tracking
really nice.
guide as well. Yeah.
I did vote for a whole bunch of stuff that I've read and liked. I kind of fleshed out my profile a little bit when I signed up, but that's as far as I got.
All right. Well, who's next?
Lisa.
Sorry, I wasn't ready.
Yeah, you were playing Doctor Who Legacy.
No, I was not. Yes, I was. Lisa writes. It was a timed episode. Lisa writes. Anything feedback? Nope, feedback submitted. Excuse me. Thoughts on the Doctor, new cast member edition. Danny Pink. Meow. I guess now we put a picture of Danny in the show notes for everybody who hasn't seen it yet. Brave of heart in these the hinterlands, spring has sprung on the north coast of California, with daffodils everywhere. The parade of colors that are rhododendrons has begun, with red being just the beginning. And to think, we've just had our first winter storm. Not going to lie, I hate you a little bit right now, Lisa. I'm so done with... So we got another... I mean, nowhere near as bad as they were saying, 8 inches of, we just got like a... And then it was done. But I'm so done with Old Man Winter this year. Sean, your reports from Galley were very enjoyable. And surprise, you found the only place in California where AT&T has a tower. I can verify where it's at, too. It's right there. Take care, everyone, especially those in the grips of the polar vortex. Again, Lisa. Thank you, Lisa. I'm glad
Fortunately, it's warming up now, so...
Yeah, only being a couple weeks away from spring. Yeah.
All right, Keith. Who is next? Wait, this was me. So
Scott.
All right, Scott. Scott writes. Scott, we didn't forget you this week. Yay! Scott writes. Hi, Kansas crew. I had to read through all that really quick, too. Hi, Kansas crew. How are you in the winter that never ends? Everyone has
recurring theme.
Everyone has seen the American Doctors list by now, so I did an all-British actress list instead. Tell me what you think. Number 1, Wendy Hiller. This was tough. She was the famous actress more known for her film work in the 30s and 50s and stage work than TV. I also considered Elsa Manchester, who was in a lot of 60s American TV roles. Number 2, Angela Lansbury.
Ooh.
For number 3, Jean Marsh. For number 4, Diana Rigg. There's a good one. For number 5, Joanna Lumley. This might have been around when she was on Sapphire and Steel. Number 6, Elizabeth Taylor. Maybe too old, but when I picture her next to Colin Baker... Okay. Yeah, I can see that, especially with Evelyn. Helena Bonham Carter, maybe too young, but she had to be on here. Number 8, Jane Seymour. Oh, definitely, I love Jane Seymour. 9, Tilda Swinton. 10, Kate Beckinsale. She'd make me one of those 10th Doctor fanboys. 11, Keira Knightley. Yeah, maybe.
She's got the young aspect.
Yeah, I could see that. And number 12, Emma Thompson. And I'm all on board with number 12. I'm totally Totally. And Helen Mirren as the war doctor.
Yes.
Helen Mirren as the war doctor.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'd love to know what other listeners, travelers, vortexers, think. Take care. Yeah, no, I like your list here. Keira Knightley, I don't know. Angela Lansbury in at number 2. See,
I almost put her more one.
Yeah, I was going to say, Angela's more of my number 1, mostly because I'm not that familiar with Wendy Hiller. I know of her, but I don't know that much about her. Yeah, I think I'd put Angela Lansbury, although I can now. In the 60s, I suppose I could see her as kind of that quippy, quirky,
I think that's what he's going
homo
for,
character. So okay. I'm gonna backslide on that.
I could almost flip Jean Marsh and Dinah Rigg.
I thought that's where I was going to go. I think if
we're going to do the James Bond-ish,
I would agree. I would flip flop 3 and 4. Joanna Lumley, Elizababeth Taylor. That's the weird one. Although
Joanna Lumley is almost too harsh for 5. The only thing I've really seen her on is AdVab.
No, because he was kind of the no nonsense doctor, so I don't know. I can kind of see that. Elizabeth Taylor's the one that's kind of I'm having the most difficult with. Was she British? How come I didn't know she was British?
I didn't know she was British. Now that you say it,
but maybe she was.
Hold on, I'm looking now.
She did have kind of a mixed accent. Yeah,
she had
she had a mixed accent. She had a lot of American in that accent, but I've always thought she had a bit of accent.
Hampstead Gardens suburb, United Kingdom.
Oh,
where she was born.
Well, there you go, Elizabeth Taylor. Then I still don't know if I see her as 6, but Helena Bonham Carter is 7.
I don't necessarily think she's.
Why Jane Seymour is 8? Maybe I think I'd flip flop those two. I could see. Well, okay.
That's why he's going.
I
can see that now. Yeah, especially at that time. Tilda Swinton for 9. I'm okay with that. Kate Beckinsale. Yeah. Keira Knightley. I don't know.
I don't know who else would be a good 11 though.
Emma Thompson or we got Emma Thompson at number 12. Emma Watson for number 11. Maybe swap out.
Maybe.
Just in case, has anybody not seen the American Doctor list
of
actors?
I was about to bring that up. You guys have seen that?
I've seen it.
Okay. Yeah. I totally disagreed with a good chunk of theirs.
Yeah. Most of it.
Sadly, though,
mainly because
I looked at it and went, sadly, though, I looked at it and went, that's not who I'd pick.
That's probably
if it was an American institution, that's exactly who would have got all of those.
And no wonder Stephen Moffat recently once again reiterated that an American Doctor Who would be rubbish. Is it any wonder?
Anyway, thanks for sending that. And if anybody has any points they'd like to make on it or have a list of their own, please send it in.
Next, Daryl. Right?
Yep. Okay. Sure.
Comment question. Hello, Vortexians. It's been a while since I last feedbacked, but I listen every week and also follow you guys on Facebook.
Thanks, Daryl.
I like how feedback is a verb in that case.
Feedbacked. I enjoy your posts, but I am still avoiding the tweeting thing.
That's all right, Daryl. Don't worry about it.
It's not for everyone. I just wanted to say that I've been a long-time fan of Who, and while still in high school, I went to Doctor Who conventions in St. Louis during the 80s. One was Hitchhiking the Gallifrey with Peter Davidson, Mark Wing Davey Zaphod, and Sandra Dickinson.
On the TV series.
Trillion.
On the TV series.
Who was still married to Peter at the time. Actually, it was around this time that she gave birth to Georgia Moffat, Davidson's real last name, who went on to be the Doctor's daughter and wife, Tennant. So, timey-wimey. I also went to many TARDIS cons in the mid-80s and had the pleasure of meeting and getting pictures with and autographs from the likes of Tom Baker, Patrick Troughton, who came at the last minute after John Pertwee dropped out, Peter Davison, Fraser Hines, Nicholas Courtney, Katie Manning, Terrence Dix, Nicola Bryant, Mark Striction, Ian Martyr, Sarah Sutton.
Aww. What a list.
Ian Martyr.
Yeah.
Janet Fielding, and others. I have tons of pictures and even a bunch of cassette tapes full of panel audios. There were skits put on by actors, dinners with them, cabarets, and many other cool events. But I never had to pay for one picture or autograph. When did this happen? It kind of saddens me now that it has come to this. Usually the weekend price of the admission included all of that. I guess this is the world we live in now. Money, commercialism, and greed. Boy, I sound like an old fogey. At least Gallifrey keeps the limit of attendees to keep it somewhat cozy. Anyway, I had a blast every time.
I will say, Scott, Daryl, I remember those days as well. I didn't ever get to go to a Doctor Who convention or any convention that had a Doctor Who guest, living where I live, but the conventions that I did attend when I was young, sci-fi conventions, the autographs were always free, and the price of the admission covered everything. So I long for those days too, and I still I pay for them now because you have to out of necessity, but I still cringe at the idea of having to pay for somebody's signature. I think that's ridiculous. I mean, if it's one thing if you're looking for somebody's signature, especially somebody that has passed, and you're paying for a signature that's been, passed along, or somebody, you're looking in a collector shop or something like that, to stand in front of somebody and give them money to put a signature on a picture still blows my mind. I think it's absolutely ludicrous.
Here's the difference.
Again, we're in that place.
I don't mind, to an extent, knowing that because I've been to so many of these different cons and kind of learning some of the inner workings of the way some of these work. For example, any of the Star Trek actors will tell you they have to pay for their headshots. Any of the photos that you see on those tables,
I'm fine with paying for the headshot,
are paid for by the actor.
That's how most of them sell it.
And so
it's not anymore, though. I was okay with it when they said, "Buy this photo, get a signature."
That I agree with. I have no problem with
that. If I brought my own material that I paid for,
then I agree with you. I think it should be free
for the photo. And it's because we have completely transferred to that idea of paying for the autograph and not paying for the material that you're buying at the con. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't mind. I don't mind giving them money. I don't mind paying them. If it was a $10 photo and I'm paying $20, I don't even mind that.
I would pay more to get into the convention if I were getting my autographs.
I would too. Dave Scott.
I would pay to get into an autograph room if the autographs were free. I'm serious. I think that's how those things need to be administered.
Dave Scott, who was kind of the anti-creation entertainment programming, he didn't like the way Creation was running their Star Trek cons, and he was based out of Kansas City. And he started this thing where he increased the cost of the admission price a little bit and included all the autographs for everybody who came. And it was genius concept, and it was well done, and unfortunately, the big money cons kind of run him out of town, and he just couldn't compete with them. Because, it's for the same at WizardCon. Look at the people who are being assembled for that St. Louis convention. There's such a huge cast list of people there. And yet, all of the autograph prices are $40, $50 or more. And it's because they can get it. Because they brought the talent. So it's kind of like, ugh.
I will play devil's advocate from the other side of this, that part of the problem, and this is part of the reason, I suppose I should say, is because the cons, when you used to get 4 or 5 guests at a con, you could pay the guests the upfront money and everybody would get free autographs. But what's happened now is they've grown these cons to the point where they try to bring as many guests in as they can. And if they paid for everybody, they'd have to substantially raise the cost of admission.
The problem, yeah.
And so in order to get a more amount of multimedia artists into these conventions, they've turned the money aspect over to them to make their own money. They still get a guarantee, a price guarantee up front. And if they make that and above and beyond, they keep anything that's above and beyond that as well. So
I understand where you're coming from, but as a celebrity and the con aspect, it makes more sense the way that it wins. Also because if it's a ridiculously high cost of an admission,
you're going to get less people there.
You're going to get less people, and not everybody is interested in everybody's autograph.
That's true. That's true.
So when you have a bigger amount of
But I would rather have fewer con guests that more people would get autographs from than spreading it out. I absolutely love Planet Comic-Con. I think they're doing a fantastic job, but I will point to them as an excuse as they've really kind of outgrown themselves as far as I'm concerned, as far as bringing as many media guests as they do. And that lends to the problem that suddenly I'm paying for somebody's autograph. It's a catch-22. Really
unfortunately, it becomes a problem also. The celebrities say, well, I could go to the smaller con or I could go to a bigger con and get more money.
That's just it, and then that's where the capitalism it's no longer. And there are those people that come to con. There are those celebrities that come to cons, and they genuinely adore their fans, and they love their fans, and they show compassion and really gratitude and thanks and whatnot. And it really comes across at Gallifrey. And I'm not saying it doesn't come across at Planet Comic Con, but there's more. There's more opportunity for them to just come and sit and wave a pen. There's just not that same connection. I mean, the celebrities should be as grateful for their fans to come see them that they're giving a little bit of themselves. And unfortunately, when you get to this mentality of, this money machine where you're just turning out money for autographs, a lot of that interpersonal connection is kind of lost. Because if you're going to come give me $30 for an autograph, you obviously like me. So here you go. Here's your $30. Give me your $30. Here's your autograph. Give me $50. Here's your autograph. It's just
there's a difference also.
There's less of that connecting with your fans and that appreciation.
I think a lot of the people at Gallifrey also don't necessarily consider themselves celebrities.
Well, I think that's certainly
that's the big difference with Galley and any other.
Well, and Galley, because it is it's designed to be a smaller, intimate experience, because it is more, capped at 3,200 people, tickets sold maximum of like 37. It's designed to be more of a gathering of people. Oh, and yeah, there's autographs too.
Right.
I think the price structure kind of bears that in mind as well, that most of these people are charging $20. Well, I don't mind kicking out 20 for an autograph. Looking at the price list of Planet Comic Con and St. Louis and some of these other ones, it's like, ugh. I mean, I'll be honest, St. Louis, looking at the price listing that was there, because there were so many people there, I was like, oh my God, I could get some of these. I'd love to do that. Looking at the price list they had set up, pretty much eliminated 3/4 of the people that I would have gone to con to see. Mm-hmm. And now I'm kind of still down to the debating of the 2 or 3 big ones. And then Matt Smith announced.
Well, he's not in St. Louis.
Not in St. Louis, but, 2 or 3 big ones that it's kind of like, well, can I afford that? Can I go and do that? And is it worth going down? I mean, is it worth going down for 2 or 3 versus the others that I would have gotten? I guarantee you, whether the con administrator comes in and says you can only charge this, or the actors kind of go, you know what, this is really kind of bilking people, maybe I'm only going to charge this much. If the prices dropped, even if I was paying for that autograph, if the prices dropped, I'd walk out of there with 3 times the number of autographs
I would agree.
as what I'm more likely to do. And so that's, like I said, I agree. I personally, if I ever get to the point where I'm invited to a con and people ask me to sign stuff, hell yeah, I'll sign whatever you put in front of me. I will sit at my table for a full day and just say thank you. I mean, yes, I'd love to charge for it, but I'm not going to, because I'm not that guy. I mean,
I think the other thing that bothers me about it is, you spend what you can afford, but Planet Comic Con, I'm really probably only getting 2 autographs. There are a dozen people that I'd like to get autographs from. I can't afford that kind of thing. Yep. That's ridiculous. So you have to kind of weed down. And now, if they were all charging a lot less than they are charging now, yeah, I'm the same way. I'd come out of there with a lot more autographs. But I mean, I'm the guy going to Planet Comic Con to get a autograph from John Ratzenberg, because I loved him as Cliff Clavin. I don't care about his roles in Superman and Star Wars and the Pixar films. I'm going there because he was Cliff Clavin on my favorite television sitcom ever. And I will get a Cliff Clavin. If he doesn't have any, I will bring a shot of Cliff Clavin, because that's what I want. And to be quite honest with you, I want to go to, if it wasn't so expensive, I would get Brent Spiner as well. But you know what I'd bring? Bob Wheeler from Night Court. That's what I remembered him from. That was the first thing that I ever saw him in. He was the guy, and him and his wife, and they were down on their luck all the time, and they came up to in front of the bench. Was he a recurring character? He was a recurring character.
Wow,
I think he was only
Bob
maybe
Wheeler.
in a handful of episodes. I think it was Bobby and Susie Wheeler, I think it was. I can't remember what his wife's name was.
Wow, I don't remember.
Bob Wheeler. And in the first episode that they were on, they had a daughter, and then the daughter disappeared. But yeah, they had all this.
She wasn't funny.
They ended up they come up. They ended up like Mama had given them money or something, and so then they ended up buying that. What do you call the sundry stand down in the snack stand in the cafeteria?
Really?
Yeah, they actually owned that in the show for a while. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They were really reoccurring characters.
Well, again, only about a handful of episodes.
Well, I mean, if you buy
that's where their storyline.
If you buy a set on the show, you must show up at some point.
Yeah.
I would think.
Well, it was just because they were fun characters to get back. I'm sure they were one-shots, and then they were so enjoyable that they brought them back.
Huh.
So.
I didn't know that.
That's the magic of Brent Spiner.
Brent Spiner. So if Brent wasn't so much, I would go there to get
If Brent wasn't
that.
so much, I'd get an 94 autograph.
Oh, yeah.
There were many. I'd get a Young Justice autograph.
Yeah.
I'd Brent sign 12 items for me. And not that he's charging 40 for those that might be interested, but I think that's the other thing.
He was
Is
in
all
6 episodes of Night Court.
All of the Trek cast
6, yeah. I knew it was only
is
about
charging
a handful.
40, and I think that might be a kind of group decision to set that bar.
I'm certain that has a lot to do with
to be fair. But then Shatner's 75, so
well, he's not the same tier. Of
yeah, he's the Shat.
All right. Well, we have derailed Daryl's
Sorry,
feedback
Daryl.
long enough. Let's get back into it.
He continues. My 2 regrets are: 1, I have not been to a con since the mid '80s, and 2, I have a 5-Doctor script in which I had the actor sign and has at least 15 signatures on it. The one time I forgot to bring it to a con was the one in which Terrence Dix was at. The writer. That is the major epic fail. Maybe one day.
You could have sent it.
I'd have taken it to
us,
Galley.
and then Sean could have taken it to Galley for you.
Terrence was only charging 20.
And then Sean would have conveniently lost it. I'm sorry, Daryl. I don't know what happened to it as it entered his collection.
No, I wouldn't have kept that.
No, you wouldn't have.
We'd have had a giveaway. We'd announce that on Facebook. The 1,000th new listener to our show gets a
1,000.
The 1,000th new
The
listener.
100,000th new listener to the show. Would
Well,
be.
I guess we could dream big.
Yeah. Hey, for that kind of script with all the actors signed and Terrence, because you
It
would
didn't
have
say all
you
the
would have
actors.
gotten-
It just said at least 15.
That's all of the actors in the well, probably not William Herndl at that time, but
I don't know. Maybe he did have her.
maybe you'll have to let us know, Daryl. All right, well, keep going, Keith.
Send us an
Before I
Instagram of
go-
that.
I too am playing Doctor Who Legacy and bought into the fan area.
Yay!
It's a great game, and I hope they stick with it long enough to get classic eras. Although they said they're going to be incorporating some levels from the early eras into the storyline, till we get something soon. I hope they add achievements that utilize milestone scores or certain team usage. It would be a good incentive to go back and use some other characters that normally never get used, like Complete Level X without using any companions, or Complete Level X with using only one color. Things like that. It would double the playtime and encourage repeat playthroughs, as if we hadn't put enough time into it. Lastly, I haven't heard any news about Adventure in Space and Time, The Five-ish Doctors, or Any Middle World being released on DVD in the U.S. I'm pretty sure they know the show is a big deal here, and I don't understand the delay. Anyone hear of anything about these? Mustache, keep up the good work, and feedback you later.
Well, as we
Daryl
mentioned,
Christensen at St. St. Charles, I'm sorry.
so and as we mentioned earlier in the show, the Adventures from Time and Space is at least on its way.
It's at least
to
planned.
DVD in the U.S. and back up to
Enemy of the World is getting a May 20th release in the U.S.
Is it?
Yes.
Where do you have confirmation of that?
Well,
TV
where did
shows
you
on
see
DVD?
that? Because that's
DVD.
new.
That's news. How come we didn't talk about
Yeah,
that?
how come we didn't talk
It
about that
came
one?
out- I thought we talked about it February.
Web of Fear.
Oh, was that the one?
We talked about Web of Fear. Yeah, Enemy of the World is brand new news to me.
That news came out the 26th of February.
How did we miss that?
I don't know.
How can this be?
Well, because it was more than a week.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. There's a little update for you on that. Back to the obviously another thing that I think we sort of answered the question was the achievements. They have added achievements. If you had the
Some
Android,
achievements.
if you had the Android, you had achievements already about a month
Yes.
ago.
Yeah, sounds about
with
right.
this latest update, the iOS operating systems now have achievements as well. So there's nothing as explicit to that, but there's always room to add achievements as well now. So
Yeah,
that's
now that they've got
nice.
the achievements, well, unlocked, you can add to it and start
Yeah.
creating different fun
I
little.
think they should name them trophies on Android and achievements on Apple.
Only
No.
you, Keith.
I'd be surprised if they'd associated actually try to associate achievements, even though they have, with with a Microsoft and an Apple product.
Have they released on Windows phones?
No. In fact...
That's where it should be.
I think I saw somewhere where they weren't sure if it would be... or maybe it wasn't an if, but a when it would be available. So... And Daryl, just so you know, we got your second email. We're not going to read it on the air now.
I responded,
and Keith has responded to you. So apologies that we all missed the second one. We have responded now. So.
And listeners, expect some pictures soon.
Yes,
that's all I'm going to say.
All right, who's next?
Up next is Rachel.
Rachel
writes. Comment question: Hello, Vortex gang, and happy Oscar Sunday. I just wanted to thank all of you for last week's show. I haven't laughed that hard in I don't know how long. That was certainly one of the most entertaining convention recaps I've ever heard, and I'm sure it goes without saying, but I was very happy to hear such praise from my doctor. When I went to Chicago TARDIS, meeting Colin Baker was the highlight. Meeting my doctor was a dream come true. But the fact that he's so nice and personable and has such a love for Doctor Who made the experience so much better. So to hear others say the same thing just solidifies my admiration for Colin. I'm really happy that Sean and Mel had another great time at Galley, and I'm totally jealous of the ribbon counts. Cheers, Rachel.
Well, maybe we'll see you at Galley next year.
Well, the gauntlet has been thrown. I expect to see all of you at Galley next year. Thank you, Rachel.
Yes, thank you very much. I think we've all been old 60 fans for a long time, but you actually got to meet him.
Yes.
It's different. It's like seeing Paul. It's just like, you just have to trust me on that. It's just this.
I'm gonna have to.
It's just this thing, you know. So,
is it like seeing Sylvester?
Yeah,
so I can relate to that.
Oh, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Well, you will be able to relate to that eventually.
I'm meeting all of them. It's just a. There he is.
Good
Who's
stuff.
next, Glenn?
Next up is Holly. And Holly writes, 166 Moonbase in the Nameless City. Hey guys, Moonbase. This was a good story. With episodes 1 and 3 being animated, I can say that the animations are starting to grow on me, and they weren't as jarring as the animations from the Reign of Terror. Poor Jamie getting knocked out by the Cybermen, Polly not getting believed that she had seen a Cyberman, and then finally getting believed at the end. The whole thing with the Cybermen adjusting the controls to throw off the whole weather patterns of the Earth was interesting and a little scary as well that technology had gotten to that point that the weather was being controlled on the moon.
And was that
temperamental? Was it 2070? Is that what they
2070
came down on? The Nameless City. A second Doctor and Jamie adventure. This was real well written, and I think we can all agree better than the first ebook. I could so see this happening on screen. The Doctor always seemed to be having problems with making repairs to the TARDIS and needing things that were not available in whatever time period they were stuck in the current moment. Loved how quickly he and Jamie figured out how much it would cost to get the materials to repair the TARDIS. Talk about sticker shock. Cool that the Master showed up under his alias of Professor. How do you say it? Thescalus.
I think.
Thescalus. Yeah, Thescalus. Love that the Archons were able to be defeated by bagpipe and recorder music. All in all, a great story. I must be part Archon.
Glenn, I'm gonna call this right now. I'm just gonna spoil this. Glenn hated this story. Glenn did not like it, and I couldn't figure. He gave it a meh on Goodreads, and I went, "How could you think this was meh?" And then I got to the bagpipes, and I went,
meh on Goodreads.
"Never mind, I know now."
I think I gave it 4 stars.
I think you gave it 3.
That's
a man.
I'm going to Goodreads.
Go check because I'm pretty sure I did.
If you didn't, you need to up it by 1. You totally gave it 3 based on bagpipes.
Looking forward to hearing everyone's thought on these stories. Holly from Wisconsin.
Thank you, Holly.
Pretty sure I gave it 4. I gave. If I did, what I did is I flip-flopped the you and Clawfer one, because I gave it 3, which I think was generous.
That's generous, in my opinion.
You gave it 4.
That's what I thought.
You must have changed it then.
No, I didn't change it.
It was 3.
No, I didn't change it. But I'm not going to tell you what I thought about it until we get there. So.
Up next is Chrissy.
Bagpipes.
Chrissy writes, New Who and New 2. Dear Vortex Boys, so we've got a new recurring character, Danny Pink. Lots of people have been calling him a companion. All the official BBC stuff I've read says recurring character. But that doesn't mean that he won't become a companion eventually.
Aha!
I
The way
agree.
Rory and Mickey did.
I agree. At some point in time down the road, we might have to revise our statements.
So do we think then he might be playing Clara's boyfriend?
Perhaps.
Perhaps. In a way, I hope they don't go there. Not just because we've been there. We've had companions with significant others in the TARDIS for, it seems like, all through New Who. And how can you top?
Well,
How can you top Rory?
That's just it. We've shown kind of both sides of that. The companion that leaves a boyfriend behind, and the companion that brings the boyfriend along. I mean, it's so. Where else do you go with that? I don't know. We'll see.
We'll find out.
I kind of hope they're like best mates and they're just really good friends, and that there isn't any romantic entanglement.
So you're hoping that Danny's in the friend zone.
No, because that implies that he would not want to be in the friend zone.
Back to the When Harry Met Sally idea that men and women can't be friends. So
I can.
No.
Yeah.
No. Have you ever seen the movie?
Yes, I've seen the movie.
It proves at the end that they can't be friends.
It's a movie.
Doctor Who's a TV show.
Yes. Nobody's saying Doctor Who's real.
I'm friends with Keith, and he's a girl.
Hey! Chrissy continues.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I don't know where that came
Taking
from.
away your biscuits.
I've known him for nearly 10 years, and I'm learning new things about him now.
You should try rooming with him.
Excuse me.
As excited as I am for more casting news, I'm more interested in Danny's backstory as a teacher at Coal Hill School. Now I figured the callback to Coal Hill was just a neat little one-off cameo for the 50th anniversary, but nope, it's going to be featured in Series 8. And, well, I had no reason to think this other than I'm just throwing out wild mass guessing, but I wonder if they'll surprise us with a William Russell making an appearance as Ian Chesterton, the same way Sarah Jane came back in School Reunion. And
that can't happen.
And now that I think about it,
Why?
they could call it call that episode School Reunion 2 this time.
This time it's personal.
This time it's personal. Oh wait, Long Island Who already took that tagline. Rats. Yeah, this is totally wishful thinking, but it'd be cool. In the meantime, yay, Danny Pink.
I don't want to see him back. And deep down in my core, I do, but consciously I don't. Because of the statement that Sarah makes about he and Barbara at the end, that they've never aged.
Oh.
I think that would totally tear that down. Just that one little statement would just completely be destroyed and obliterated. And I like that imagery in my mind, that they are living together as man and wife, and they've never aged. But anyway, so.
Doesn't quite make sense that they never aged them.
Just an adventure we didn't see.
Yeah, apparently. Maybe they covered that in Big Finish with the Companion Chronicles. Way to bring it down, Glenn.
Yeah, no lie. 10 o'clock news guy.
That's not bringing it down. That's just you should rejoice in that wonderful imagery of the fact that
You brought me from
Ian and Barbara never aged.
to here. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I really wanted to see him in it. That'd be
Another
so
thing to
cool.
flail happily about, even though this tidbit has been around since the time of the Doctor, Clara is also a teacher at Coal Hill School. And not just any teacher, an English teacher. I should explain that at one point, I thought about becoming an English teacher.
She just clarified
just
what
clarified
her
for
doubt
us.
from earlier.
But I decided not to. Still, Clara teaching English is very cool to me nonetheless. Alright, second Doctor month, sort of. Moonbase. I saw this one when I got the Lost in Time DVD from the library. Well, I saw the 2 existing episodes and they played the audio for the missing episodes. I quite liked it back then, and now that I've seen it with, quite frankly,
Exemplary.
yes, thank you, animation, I like it even more. I'm glad that we're getting more stories with Ben and Polly on DVD because we have so few of them, and it feels like they get overlooked in fandom. Simply because we don't have their stories readily available. Granted, this isn't Ben's best story, though Polly has some pretty good moments. And I think this was Jamie's second full story as a companion, and the difference between his characterization here and later in his run is huge. He still hasn't quite let go all of his 18th century superstitions, and he's still very new to all this time travel stuff. And he's still like Ben and Polly's cute baby brother that they have to look out for all the time. The Second Doctor is fantastic, as always. What more can you ever say about Patrick Troughton? I do have to talk about the sets. The moonscape scenery is really good, especially when you think that it was all done in studio and on a limited budget. This is probably one of the stories where it being in black and white was a huge advantage. The black and white definitely lends to the chilling atmosphere of the story, and it's one of my favorite parts of this one. All in all, thumbs up. And now
I thought she'd be more upset with the fact that Frasier's out of it for about 2 episodes. But
his shirt is halfway unbuttoned. So I think she's okay with it on that aspect.
And as I pointed out on Twitter, he comes out of his coma. What's the first thing he does? He and Ben grab that table and ramrod a guy through a doorway with it. It's just like a battering ram. Yeah, Jamie's back. You know?
Of course, that was Ben's idea, though.
Didn't matter. Jamie was the anchor. I'm pretty sure there was a Highland scream as he charged with it. So.
There should have been, though. That would have made it even better. Oh, that would have made it better.
And now they've done the animation for the Moonbase, why can't we get animation for the Crusade? Both are 4-part stories and are only missing 2 episodes. There's no reason the Crusade can't be done.
There is.
Unless those... There is?
Yeah.
Unless those
one word, Cybermen. Here's the thing.
The Moonbase can be sold because of
the Moonbase is sold because of the Cybermen. 10th Planet is sold because of the Cybermen. Reign of Terror is the strange one in my whole theory here, because it's purely historical. And I wonder if maybe the BBC, that was like testing the waters, and they said, we'll animate this one because it's one of those like cult favorites. It's one of the ones that a lot of people refer to as a good story, and they really do. But missing in all of there, and so I think that was a broad attempt to bring something that is kind of an underground favorite, and so I think that's the reason we got the animation there. But I really think, and look at again, what was the first story to be animated? The Invasion. Cybermen again. That's the thing, is I think they're looking at the ones that are clearly on the surface an obvious popular one. That's people are clamoring for more Cybermen. Cybermen are still popular to this day. Well, so they're going to make those sales on those type of stories.
And then the Ice Warriors on the heels of Cold War.
On the heel of Cold War. And not to mention that, it's another monster. It's another fantasy. It's another iconic villain in Doctor Who. People talk about it. Everybody in Doctor Who, classic Doctor Who, especially fans, know who the Ice Warriors are. So that's what it comes down to, Chrissy. And when we get to the Crusades, we run into that same situation with Reign of Terror, where the Crusades is kind of an underground favorite of people that have seen or are familiar enough with the story, have seen the recons or heard the audio stories for it. But depending on how Reign of Terror did, and I don't think it did as phenomenally well as anything else that's been animated since or before, I have a feeling that's what's holding them back on Crusade, that they'll try to pick other... I bet we see animation on any number of Dalek stories that are missing, or...
How do you justify Underwater Menace?
It was animated, was it?
Well, maybe.
We don't know for sure. That's if it's animated, then that's a
trailer.
You're right. There is a trailer on there, but...
And they started animation on it. They've confirmed that.
They did. Okay.
Yes.
See, I had
but they've halted it.
Yeah. See, but maybe the halting is because of the success of the animation. I don't know. I really think because Crusade...
I think the halting is for a whole other reason, but we didn't talk about that during news.
Yeah. So. Another thing is, with Underwater Menace, you've still got kind of that fantasy aspect, and you've got crazy monsters.
And let's be realistic. There's more Troughton missing than Hartnell.
There really is. That's one of the reasons why I think they're very...
partially why it's being so... Troughton focused,
well,
because
there's
a big chunk of Hartnell available that you can watch.
That's certainly
there's not as many DVDs.
And not that all of these are not valid, because they certainly are, but there's a very basic animation rule at play here. You don't got to animate the Cybermen mouths.
Well,
that's all of the talking that they did. You don't have to do that with an actual human mouth. You've got to line up and ADR that.
Certainly might play into it, but
with a Dalek, how easy would it be?
Humans,
yeah, well, that's what I mean. How easy for going forward? I would pull every monster out of the book that had a rubber mask on that we didn't have to match that up.
It certainly would be
to animate it because it's easier.
Yeah.
All of the Dalek stories I would animate before I did the Crusade. Just, I got a light bulb.
I don't know
That's
about
it.
that because there's a lot that are all missing.
That's just it.
So-
Dalek Master Plan only has 3 stories that actually exist. So, or 3 episodes that actually exist in the entire. And it may only be 2 now. I think about it.
Well,
but anyway,
Power of the Daleks.
Power of the Daleks is completely
missing.
gone. And I think what they're doing now is they're clearly only picking ones that they only have to animate 2 episodes of. Which
that's
Crusade
what's
fits in that?
smart.
Right. Yeah.
Crusade missing 2?
Crusade's
Or is
missing
it
2.
3? Okay,
She says
so it does fit in that, that category of the things that they've been picking so far. But
Are there any that are still missing just one?
I don't think so. I think everything has at least 2 or
It's 2
more.
or more now.
Yeah, I believe so. The 2 that were missing, one were 10th Planet and
Ice Warriors? Or was that
no,
2?
it was missing 2. There was another one out there, wasn't there? Maybe there's not. Planet Giants, but that wasn't really missing.
It was purposely edited down.
Anyway, yeah, 10th Planet. Was
Oh, Web of Fear.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, which they aren't animating. Which
Which tells
Yeah.
me we're going to get a special edition.
I hope so, because this whole vanilla release is really making. All right, go on.
She continues, unless those missing episodes are being mysteriously hidden away in that rumored pile of covered film canisters that someone at the BBC is supposedly sitting on just to make entitled fans go long and insane rants on Twitter.
Is it? You can't do a long, insane rant on Twitter because you only get 140
That's
characters.
if you can do it.
1 letter for each word.
Wow, that was quite a tangent. Anyway, the Nameless City.
It's a tangent that sent us on another tangent.
This is how you do a short story for the 50th anniversary. Even from the beginning, I was hooked on this story. The prologue setting up the Archons was sufficiently creepy, but intriguing with the bit about their civilization being older than Gallifrey and the Time Lords. And then the next chapter cuts to Jamie on an errand for the Doctor. And there are some wonderful moments for Jamie as he helps the man being robbed. I loved all the little reminders of where Jamie came from, that he was part of the Scottish army at the Battle of Culloden. Sometimes you miss those even in the TV show. I love the characterization of the Doctor in this, and I even love how Michael Scott incorporated some of the Gallifreyan Time Lord mythology and history into this story, even though the Time Lords weren't really established on TV during the Troughton years. I don't know. I feel like when you have a brand new story with a classic Doctor, and the author puts in things that have come into canon in more recent years, it helps create a running continuity throughout all the big Doctor Who stories, whether they're televised or in some other medium. And it's a big part of why I love Doctor Who so much. I love having this great big massive canon to play with. Anyway, fabulous story, gives me hope for the rest of the range. I'm done for now. I hope everyone has a great week. Chrissy. P.S. Yes, I know the Oscars are tonight, Sunday. Yes, I know you're probably going to talk about them. As for me, I hope Frozen wins a few categories. Now that I've said that, it's not going to happen, because nothing I like ever wins.
Good news, Chrissy. It won 2.
Both categories it was nominated.
Yeah, that's right.
Both categories I claimed that it would win.
I think we all claimed it.
I was going to say, that's what I had. No surprise there.
I don't think anyone was surprised that it beat Despicable Me 2.
I'm surprised that Get a Horse didn't win, though, which is the short film that is ahead of Frozen. So
Oh.
yeah, it's a Mickey Mouse cartoon. It's a reimagined
Oh, I remember seeing the clips from it.
old-timey old-timey Mickey Mouse cartoon. That's kind of, they use some technical wizardry in order to make it really cool. So
Ooh. I look forward to seeing that when I finally see Frozen.
it should be
Is
on-
it
should
an
be on
old
disc.
existing?
It doesn't exist, I don't believe. I think that it was completely reinvented, but they had to think like.
Wait, did you see
you've
Frozen,
been-
or did you just watch the short?
No, I haven't even seen the whole thing. I've just seen clips of it
okay.
and making of it
Okay.
and things like
Well,
that.
see, unfortunately, so have I, because I was getting popcorn while that was on. I didn't realize that, so I
Yeah.
missed all but the very
No,
end of it. So I know it's animated and it's done to look like an old
Yes,
black and white
it
Disney
is
cartoon,
framed
and I
in that
assumed it
sequence.
was just
No.
it's not an actual one that they've gone and
No,
okay,
wouldn't have qualified as a
okay.
for a nod.
It's still
It had
amazing.
been.
What
Yeah,
little part I
yeah.
saw, I went, oh! I was ready to go buy another ticket
So-
to Frozen just to see that.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody because it's the thing, the trickery that they do with it is really amazing. It looks really great. So
Very good.
All right.
Finally, Dan.
Don't sound so final.
That's the last bit of feedback I have.
Dan, where's Dan? There's Dan.
This is a long show today.
Dan writes, question comment, last minute Moonbase review, long review made short. Well, the kids and I watched while Heather fell asleep, busy day. Despite seeing an occasional wire, the model shots were actually quite good. The sets looked good, the moonscape was huge when compared to other old episodes. Some of the acting was also well played comparatively. I've seen the reconstruction, but the animation is a nice way to fill in the mental gaps. The animation itself gave me mixed emotions. The static scenes in the background were gorgeous, but the motion didn't seem to be as fluid as it could have been. Watching the shadows slowly rise on the Cyberman's face and the headlamp glisten in the sun were incredibly fluid. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining because overall I really enjoyed the story. And as always, it's great to have another Troughton episode in the library. I enjoyed watching with the kids, but I missed the sidebar comments from the Friday Night Who gang to liven things up. Thanks again, guys, and we'll catch up with you later. Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks,
Dan, we're sorry that your Amazon
That's
order
right.
arrived Saturday.
He got that and 10th Planet, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
he
those
did.
together, I think I saw. So, cool.
But I'm glad that you have them now.
Let's move on to these reviews because we're getting really long here, and I think we have a lot of good things to say about it.
In 2070, Earth's weather is controlled with ease from the moon. When the TARDIS arrives at the Moonbase, the Doctor, along with his friends, Polly, Ben, and Jamie, is accused of starting a plague that is killing the base's crew. It's not long, however, before the time travelers discover the true case of the deaths, a powerful, unstoppable race that the Doctor has met before. The Cybermen!
Dun, dun, dun! I really liked this one. I know Keith really liked this one.
Considering my excitement, I couldn't wait for Friday Night Who and watched it only a week before.
Start us off, Keith. Give us all of the good.
So good. It's so good. It's so good. What's not
Glenn,
good in this?
give us all of the bad now.
It's good. It's good. I enjoy this one.
I thought the animation was phenomenal. I kind of agree with Dan that there was some of the motion that could have been improved, but some of those static shots with the shadow rising on the Cybermen overshadow anything else for me. I wish I knew if those were real or if those were created by the animation.
If those were real?
Like if it was shot that way.
I see what you're saying.
If the framing, because so much of the framing in this was so good that half.
Would you look really
shot,
close? Some of the animation is borrowed from the fourth story.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it probably was shot that way, and they basically emulated those shots from the fourth story. The one I'm thinking specifically of is that wide shot where they're all marching in, and the one Cyberman almost falls over. That is actually completely. No, it wasn't even in the recap. Okay. No, it was reused. It was from the end of episode 4. It's when they're all making the convergence on there at the end, and that was almost shot for shot, reanimated the same way as it was. And I was kind of surprised that they didn't change it up a little bit. But again, the animators have always been charged with trying to get that original feel and use as much of the telesynapse and the realism and how it would have been. And so I think their choice was to just reanimate a section that existed so that it would look very similar. So.
Which, my thought process on that is absolutely bravo, good job. And I watched it. I had never seen this one before. And so I sat down and watched it, and we got to the impending invasion of the Moonbase, and all of these Cybermen crest the hill. And I went, good job, guys. Way to add more Cybermen and really make this menacing, because there's no way that we had 11 guys in Cybermen suits here. And then episode 4 started.
11 guys
and there were 11
Cybermen?
guys in Cybermen suits. And honestly, it spawned my admiration for the animation even more.
That they didn't add more.
That they stuck with what was there, because it's such a good story. It just they didn't have to add anything. I'd have been tempted to pull a George Lucas and put a couple more legions, of stormtroopers in there, but they didn't have to.
That'll be the Moonbase Special Edition.
Yeah.
I was going to wait to talk about the animation, but I suppose that since we're getting there.
I mean, start with the animation.
I'm not going to start with the animation. Let me give my impressions of the story first, because
I've given my review of the story because I've done the novelization.
Oh yeah. That's right. You did. That's right.
So it lived up to what I thought of novelization.
I hadn't thought of that.
That's actually an interesting thing we probably ought to talk about.
The novelization compared to this.
Well, yeah, just
lives up to it.
Thanks,
there's some stuff that the novelization kind of plays up a bit more.
Obviously, they would have to expound on some things.
Even some things it seems to heighten a little bit, like the scene where the doctor is going around collecting samples. Much bigger and much more comical in the novelization than it was portrayed here, I thought. Explores a bit more like of the character and makes Ben a lot better of a character than he is in this, because he is not likable, in my opinion. Adds more to Polly, gives her more smarts. I mean, it does its usual novelization stuff, but really, overall, it didn't expound it too much, I don't think.
I was half familiar with this, because I had actually seen the 2 episodes that exist on the Lost in Time box set. So I had seen these, so I was familiar enough with the story. But the story's very engaging. It's good. It's paced well. There's not a lot of downtime. It's interesting. It's a little out there for a concept, but they don't go too far with it. Yeah. They reel it in, controlling the weather in certain regions, in certain hemispheres, and that was clever and cool. I thought the device that was used was a little bit weird, but a little exorbitant. But overall, I thought it was a great story. It's great acting. I sorely missed Jamie, though. I really, really wanted much more Jamie in this. I shouldn't be too saddened by it because of the fact that we get a lot of Jamie in the Troughton era. He's in almost every Troughton story.
That's the thing with the story is you're so used to Jamie. It's almost jarring that he's not there.
I think that's what it is. Is I want him more because I've seen a lot of Jamie in the doc, and I love the way they interact and play. They don't in this one. They're very little. Although if you watch the making of, they kind of explain the fact that Jamie was actually just a one-off. He was supposed to be in the Highlanders, and that was it. And they came to him and said, "Hey, do you want to join the cast?" He said, "Yeah." So in order but Kit Pedler didn't want Jamie. He didn't have room for Jamie, so that's why he's basically out of the story.
It's a fairly tight story.
Yeah,
there's
really
not a lot of wiggle room.
And so that's why he's out of commission for the first 2 episodes. But so it's understandable why it happens, and it doesn't ruin the story for me. I just really wanted more of it.
It probably would have been a little bit shorter of a story if Jamie was around.
This is one of those. This is one of those stories where there's always these kind of things in Doctor Who, and you pick up on them. But this was one of those stories that were a couple of times, and unfortunately, one of them is completely escaping me. I had notes on this. Maybe I should look at those.
Maybe
the one thing that pointed out to me was that nobody saw the guy with all the lines on the doctor, and the lines on his hand. If it go into that room, in the radiation room with the helmet, nobody saw that guy. They all conveniently had their backs turned when he came into the room. That was a little weird.
It did make me laugh when he put his hat on upside down.
I didn't realize that. No, I didn't realize that.
And he did it like it wasn't the animation; it was live action. He put the hat on backwards.
I didn't
and then later, when they came back to him, he had it on right.
There's
a lot of little technical things in it that makes me giggle. Like, as Dan pointed out, in the wire shot, just seeing the saucer land, you can see the wire.
Yeah.
And
I'm used to Ed Wood films, though. So.
Yeah, I mean, and then you can tell that they reused the shot because you can see the wire again. And then just the idea that the Moonbase doesn't really question how these people showed up.
Yeah. Well, 2070, there's a lot of space.
There's a spaceship coming in a month. What? And it's those sort of things that it's like, okay, whatever.
I think it's funny that, this has happened.
Move on with it.
This has happened before.
Because so much more awesome goes on.
This has happened before, but they think that they're the ones that are coming to the shuttle. You guys are here early.
Didn't you see the shuttle on the
road? Yeah, exactly. You should know. You can see them coming from a long way away.
It's just one of those tropes that's just... Okay, yeah.
I like the
and it takes so long to get there. I mean, it's a 3-day journey, but it takes so long to get there. But then, it's been knocked out of orbit into the sun.
Well,
the end.
It takes any time to get there.
So long, yeah.
But
Which I did like the explanation of, we can't lose contact with them. They've been accelerated, and the Doppler effect, it may take days to reach the sun, but they're already out of communication range. That was nice, I thought,
I totally bought that.
Yeah. They're so doomed. Yeah.
Whether that's a truth science thing or not, I totally bought it.
Well, the attempt to explain it away was satisfying.
Yeah.
Go Kit Peddler.
I like the 50s retro look, especially of the spacesuits. I thought that was really, really cool. It was very pulp novel or Flash Gordon. 50s, old style Flash Gordon.
But with helmets and ray guns,
I like how they incorporated the idea that Jamie, the Scottish belief is that you'll dream about the Piper just before you die. And he keeps seeing the Cybermen and saying, the Piper's come. I like that. I like that idea of how that sort of fear and belief plays into reality in this sense. So that was kind of neat. I like that attempt.
Well, and again, being an early Jamie story, it's totally fitting with his character. Obviously, later Jamie, he'd picked up a rock and bashed the Cybermen in the head with it. But
he's still, 14th century, 13th century Scotland? I mean, it might even be earlier than that. But it's still that idea, that's still that unlearned companion at that point. Still a little primitive, still. That does fit in line. The Cybermen hands are weird, but I had got past those in Tomb because that continues on in the design.
The 3-finger design.
Yeah, but I like this design of the costume. It's again something we've seen before in Tomb.
It's a nice upgrade.
It is. It's a really nice upgrade, but it's subtle enough that it's not like, oh my gosh, what are these things? It's subtle enough that if you line them up in line from then until now, there's this subtle progression.
Makes
and
sense,
I kind of like that. And this was subtle enough to still go in line with what we know of the Cybermen.
The voice changes to what we're more familiar with.
Didn't like that. I prefer the voices of the 10th Planet Cybermen. This isn't even... I guess it's more like the new series voice, but these Cybermen, and they clearly did it with one of the voice box, air, those type things. They clearly used that type of device in order to make the sound. It's a lot more mechanical in my... summation, but I just really liked the cadence that they use in the first one, and that just weird tinny near almost foreign technology sound of the 10th Planet Cybermen, and so I missed that in this one. I would have preferred at least a mixing of those two type of voices, and this one was these were hard to understand for me. It was very, very difficult to understand what they were saying. So
see, I think they sound just like they do in Tomb. I don't think it sounds any different.
Tomb, it's been a while since we've seen Tomb, but Tomb is Tomb is very similar.
They all sound...
the Invasion is more...
Maybe a bit more human?
More human, more bassy. It doesn't have that... It's a little more... I mean, it still has that synthesized or mechanical sound on the edge of it. Yeah, you're right. That's still there in the Invasion. But
it's not David Banks.
No, it's not David. No, it's not.
I liked the voices in this. I agree with you, especially the info dump section where the cyber lead, the controller, whatever he is, has that big monologue to give, and it all came out with the thing and this thing, and the modulation started to get to the point where it just kind of washed out, and I just kind of gave up after a while. My brain was like, "This is one of those things I'll have to pick up later." It's like New Who. I didn't get it. But I liked the voice. I liked the sound of it. But I think I liked the sound of it because it was reminiscent of Cybermen that I'm familiar with. Not that I didn't like 10th Planet Cybermen voices. It was such a drastic going back to me for that, But I liked the voices in it. I liked the redesign. I liked the.
I still love their plot or their what they're planning to do. I think that's just. I touched on it when I did the novelization. It's just a good, I think, scheme. It's just a solid scheme. They sneak in, they poison so they can take over, and there's nothing in there that's like, well, why did they do this? You know why they did this. It all makes sense.
But your typical base under siege story,
and done really well.
What the other? There's another cliche or trope name for when you take control of something that's unreachable to others immediately and use that against. I can't remember what that's called. There's a word for that as well, but I can't remember what it is. Anakin Wilkes touches on this in the documentary that's on the disc. But I noticed that even though Polly still has kind of that 60s female writing style, the character's written a little bit that way, that she is a stronger character than I think we're used to, even with Barbara and Susan. In this story particularly, I really felt by putting her in charge of taking care, I mean, you're getting that nursemaid thing too, but putting her in charge of finding out what's ailing these men, I thought was kind of a nice, step up for a character. And she even addresses the fact, well, I got coffee, but I got coffee with authority. It's just it's one of those kind of things, that. But I thought it was for somebody that could have come across as kind of a dingy blonde as she comes across in 10th Planet. This one really elevates her a lot more.
And she almost comes across as a dingy blonde until she figures out the solution problem, coming up with a solution to deflate the chest plates.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? More than because the doctor is the one doing the research and trying to figure out what causes it. She unknowingly gives him the answer.
Well, that's true. It wasn't intentional. You're right.
It's
you're right.
Coming up with the poly
I guess
solution.
I guess what I'm saying is not necessarily that she's put in charge, but that she seems to be helping, and she's been elevated as more than just a damsel in distress. She's more of the assistant type. She's not quite the level of Zoe, because Zoe had the intelligence. She was just super intelligent.
But it's still her figuring out.
Exactly. It was more of a
the alcohol solution.
I even hate to say Liz Shaw, because I think Liz Shaw is that scientist point, so you kind of expect it from her. But
early Joe Grant.
Maybe later Joe Grant even. Well, Joe got a little dingy as we went. But just Polly had a purpose. That's what was most impressive.
That's the problem with this, is that I agree. In 10th Planet, she's dingy blonde. Right? She's just,
and useless.
She's just kind of there. And she's there to ask questions and doctor what is that and forward the plot, and that's it. This one, she becomes useful. I don't know that I necessarily agree with how she became useful, at least initially, because yes, she went and stayed by Jamie, and so automatically the fanboy in me is like, oh, she's taking care of Jamie, that's awesome. The forward-thinking progressive in me is going, why does the woman got to be cast in the nurse role?
Yeah.
And yes, I understand it's the 60s, but it just, we're defaulting to that.
Yeah.
Okay. While the men go off and have battle with the base under siege, she's going to stay in the infirmary. And then she sees a Cyberman, and nobody believes her.
Yeah, that's a little unfortunate.
And they say, well, we better search the base. And they all run out. It's like, it went through that door.
And they've left her there.
Why would you go that direction? She could just say, it went there. Go look there.
Yeah.
We checked everywhere. Did you check in here? Look he's in the closet.
But that moment.
Now I don't care
phenomenal.
because when he's giving that, and the music's underline that. They checked everywhere, but did you check in here? Oh, I mean, it was really well done in the trailer, so it elevated it for me when we actually watched it. Did you ever watch the trailer?
I showed it to him. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's such a cool trailer. But so getting to that moment was really cool. But just the fact that even Team TARDIS kind of seemingly dismisses her once the commandant, whatever he was of the base, dismisses her. Mm-hmm. Even they're kind of like, we're not going to deal with it now. Well,
I think it's
excuse me.
Deal with it now, and the doctor believes her, but doesn't have time to.
There's a Cyberman on the loose. Automatically, I've made that connection that this is the root of the problem. You want to get to the bottom of the plague? Go through the door and find the Cyberman. So that was a little frustrating. And then she gets coffee, and it's like,
part of that is because
really?
We've seen.
Well, yeah. I mean, as the viewers, obviously, we're up on the know.
Watching it.
It was such a good reveal.
You wouldn't have. I can only imagine what it was like watching it when it aired, not knowing this was a Cyberman story. And I just can only imagine the reveal of that, and oh my god!
Did you read that they changed the name?
Great cliffhangers.
Yeah, all the way around. The original title was going to be The Return of the Cybermen, and they asked Kit Pedler, can you change that so that they're not mentioned? We want to keep that surprise.
Yeah.
And it's so well done in that. But yeah, it's not for me, it's not until she kind of begins ramrodding the Let's Strike Back posse and coming up with the Polly solution that it's like, okay, this is more what I'm pleased with and expect from her. Not that everything else that that came before wasn't great. It's just the little things that I could nitpick on for the timing.
Well, I guess my point is that she seemed purposeful. She seemed, and maybe that's why, because in comparison to anything I'd seen her in before, which is only the 10th Planet. Well, I saw the War Machines a long time ago, and I've listened to and watched the recons of Power of the Dogs. But even there, everything that had come before, she just didn't seem like she had much of a purpose. And this one really kind of gives her a purpose, gives her a little more to do, gives her... It kind of turns her into kind of a semi-hero or heroine, because she does, accidentally come across or at least implants the idea of the Doctor to figure out about the ship. Yes. She is the one that comes up with the way to destroy the respirators and collapse their chest units, even though she had to ask what it was. And fingernail polish. I just thought everybody knew that.
That's the science lesson for the kids at home.
I suppose that's certainly true. So, the problem that I had with giving her purpose and was just kind of throwing the chemicals together and hope it doesn't explode. The poly cocktail, I think they called it. That wasn't a good idea. But I just thought it was kind of random.
There were several bleach and ammonia jokes made.
Yeah.
So sure, we'll put this in there.
This story kind of goes to show that two companions might be the max the Doctor should have, because all of Polly's great moments are to the detriment of Ben in this story.
Yeah.
Not likable at all. Comes across as demeaning the entire time.
And way underused.
Mm-hmm.
Which is saying something, considering Jamie spent 2 episodes in a coma.
Yeah.
How can you be underused?
Jamie seems more useful later on, even throughout the whole thing, because he's helping unravel the mystery of the Cybermen.
I suppose the other thing that's to the detriment...
As opposed to Ben, where he's like, just go help the...
I suppose the other thing that's the detriment to the Ben character is the fact that Jamie is in this, because they ended up giving a lot of Ben's lines to Jamie to make him have purpose. So now, not only is Polly been kind of relegated to having more purpose, that brings Ben down a little bit. Yeah. Suddenly you're dividing Ben's role between he and Jamie.
That's a good point.
And so that even, brings it down even more. So the hearing the Doctor think in his head.
That was
weird.
It was weird.
It's not something. It's unusual. It's not something that we normally see. So that was a little jarring and different. But I guess if you don't have a companion around to
and when you've got
bounce that off of it,
try to kind of keep it
and
that mystery of what's going on with everyone else.
Exactly. He couldn't reveal what he was doing, and so talking to himself would have been revealing.
That was honestly one of the things that I thought was really interesting about the way the story is constructed, is that for a huge change-up, the Doctor is the one that's effectively been captured and held prisoner, and that it's the companions who are in the other room plotting and trying to figure something out and then coming to the rescue. That doesn't happen often. Normally it's the other way around, and the companion is the one that's being threatened by the monster. And I loved that they did it this way. And maybe it's because it's Trout and it works so well, because of all the Doctors, his is the one that, he probably needs help. Let's go rescue the Doc. But it just fits so well with that. I was really struck by how just flipping that on its ear was just different.
Right.
And then his relationship with Hobson was great, too, because it starts off in such a typical Doctor-Director of Base relationship and grows to such a point, and then Hobson's at the end just like, yep, probably better that he's gone. We don't have to explain this stuff. It just works so well. Like, keep Troughton separate in those other parts where he's not. He gives him somebody good to play off against, I think.
I really liked Hobson as a character. I didn't think he was yet another in a long line of those. I didn't think I was going to like him initially, but as it went on, it was like, oh, you're gaining so many cool points right now.
He's in that role where you're either going to go one way with the character or you're going to go another. And he went the way that I kind of like instead of the other way where you're
he's the mirror image of the
controller in 10th Planet.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Must just be a Kit Peddler thing.
Well, okay, that's very
that dynamic.
Not that I'm trying to pick on all the things that bother me, but is it not enough to give the guy you want people to know as French a French accent? You have to give him a scarf as well.
I like the scarf.
I mean, why not a beret too? I mean, let's go to the whole stereotype. The little pencil mustache.
Did you notice that? I didn't notice until my second viewing that all of their uniforms had their flag on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did.
That
I think I only saw it this time because I noticed it, or it was pointed out to me in the last time that I watched the 2 episodes. So, yeah. So, and now I'm going to touch on the animation because you touched on it already, and I'll preface this by saying I am so appreciative to the fact that the BBC and the To Entertain are animating these episodes, because I agree with was it Dan that said it's just so much easier to flesh out in your mind to see the action happening. So I certainly appreciate that. While this was better than, did we ever determine if this was the same group that did Reign of?
It is the same group that did Reign of Terror and 10th Planet.
Okay, because it looked. Oh, that's right. Okay, this certainly was better than Reign of Terror. And maybe because it was less than, or maybe it's equal to what was done in 10th Planet, I'm still not digging this animation style. Now, I guess this was better than 10th Planet as well in this aspect. I love the idea that we've got away from the long static shots, and we're actually seeing like the cutaway shots of the boots marching, and the pans up the bodies of the Cybermen, and the shadowing, as you talked about, the shadow falling. I love that. I love the fact that they've done that.
We don't know how much of Reign of Terror was shot that way. If they actually are animating as close to what was originally presented as possible, maybe Reign of Terror, it's the director's fault for shooting a bunch of close-ups and a bunch of this.
See, from what I understand from behind-the-scenes interviews is they learned from Reign of Terror and improved it as they went. That's
what it looks like to me. And let's not confuse anybody that they have like a shot script. They don't know that much about it. They're attempting to get the feel from mostly telesnaps and the existing episodes in the style that they're written.
Right.
And I saw a lot of movement choices and rim shadowing and those kind of things in the episodes of Reign of Terror that existed that they could have mimicked for the animation there, and they didn't. We had those long static shots.
Okay.
And so that's why in this one I appreciated the fact that we went to a lot of those cutaways and those different shots, and there was more movement and there was more action, and I appreciated that. I still don't quite like the look that the is attributed to the actors. It's less of that uncanny valley feel that I think Chrissy pointed out.
There's a lot less of that from Reign of Terror.
Yeah, from Reign of Terror. But it still just has that. It's just a little too edgy for me, and I think maybe that's mostly because I'm spoiled by the Cosgrove Hall animation of the invasion, and I love the simplicity and it almost has more of an impact on me with the simple animation than it does with. It's almost like they're trying too hard to make it look real still, to make it look more photorealistic. And
see, I think this casts a good balance between the two.
It's better. It's certainly better. Don't get me wrong.
Invasion, compared to this, is almost, in my taste, a little too simplistic.
Oh, well, wait till you see the Ice Warriors. Nothing's as bad as that.
Well.
And unfortunately, by me saying that, the Ice Warriors was more of an attempt to capture that Cosgrove Hall. Yeah. They just failed. They failed miserably. So anyway, that's my biggest complaint. Is that just I'd like them to bring somebody else in to do some more animation. Let's get some more companies in there and see what they can do.
This company,
Disney,
I don't think was doing.
But don't bring back that group that did Ice Warriors, please.
I don't think this company was doing Underwater Menace, from what I understand. They've got their own show now that they're working on, so they might not be able to do as much.
Well, that might have been a reason why. What was the next one that they stopped on?
Underwater Menace.
It was Underwater. Okay, so that might be the reason. Maybe they started planning with them, and then that came about. So.
Well, it sounds like they started the animation on Underwater Menace.
Oh, they actually have. Okay.
I have a theory.
Yeah, we know
you do.
We've been spouting your theory for months and months and months, and everybody else's theory on the subject.
Expect the unexpected. I liked the animation in this one. I think of the three, of Reign of Terror and 10th Planet in this one, I think this one's the strongest of the three. I think it's still those
three. I would agree.
Of the the facial animation shots, initially I thought, oh, it's not quite what I was hoping for, but it's not as bad as 10th Planet, and I think it could just be that we're getting more used to them. The more, because we've kind of been watching,
It's possible.
And so maybe it's just we kind of sort of know what to
expect. Because I've gone back
with that.
and looked at Reign of Terror in comparison, and it's softer edges. It really is, and I think that's helped it.
Has helped. Oh, the new ones are
helped
softer.
The new one, the new ones are softer
harsh.
edges, and that has helped the transition for me, appreciating the animation better.
Yeah, I if they learn from their mistake, quote unquote, I think that's a good move.
They just did this.
But I maybe it's because
Gary Russell now works for Planet 55 Studios, which is doing the new show. Who did this?
Oh.
Who also did somebody on that team also did the Third Doctor anime.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Which is amazing. But I really maybe it's because it's Cybermen and there were a lot of dynamic things to do. Maybe I'm just not a big fan of historicals, but I really liked this comparatively.
Is this good? It's a little easier to overlook some of the animation issues that you might have.
Yeah,
I think that could be a big part of it.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
We all didn't come, at least I know, and I more than you guys didn't come down on the side of Reign of Terror being that great. And the fact that the story is elevated, I think, or is that much better, helps it.
Yeah, I think that definitely could be part of it. But just this one, to me, it seemed like they fired on all cylinders. It really seemed like the animation choices that they made were all right. The way as you said, the blocking and the staging of the actual invasion, the march of the Cybermen, etc. But even the facial, when people would talk, it didn't. Reign of Terror almost felt like there was a really cheap coat of paint on top of a wire mesh frame. You've all seen that shot when they show you, this is how we do computer animation, and there's a wire frame of somebody doing this, and it looks horrible. But then once you get the facial paint on, it looks okay. It kind of looked like there's a wire mesh frame there without most of the facial paint in some ways to me in Reign of Terror. This didn't have that, and so I just really like it. Now, I agree with you. I still think the invasion, the animation in that is probably my favorite, just because it takes me back to that pseudo Hanna-Barbera, Johnny Quest, Star Trek animated series kind of stuff, and I really like those styles. Right. And it fits with Doctor Who of the 60s.
Right.
It just makes sense to me. But this one I really, really liked, so I thought they did a good job.
Anything else?
I didn't mind the wires. I laughed, but it didn't bother me.
60s Doctor Who. I'm very forgiving. All right, well, let's move on to the ebook then.
When Jamie McCrimmon brings the Second Doctor a mysterious book, little does he realize the danger contained within its pages. The book transports the TARDIS to a terrifying glass city on a distant world, where the Archons are intent on getting revenge on the Time Lord for an ancient grudge.
Dun, dun, dun!
I enjoyed this one as well.
Yes.
I enjoy. Now, if
makes me a little worried for the next one. Just comparing it to Destiny of the Doctor.
Well,
one was
we're bouncing
two
around.
Was great.
We were let down twice last year with the 50th anniversary of the Doc because we didn't enjoy
Space
but
Buffalo.
All the Second Doctor ones have been phenomenal.
What was the Third Doctor? Or what was the comic series? What was
Prisoners
it
of
called?
Time.
Prisoners of Time. I thought the Third Doctor got gypped off in a story, and then Destiny the Doctor I thought the Third Doctor story got gypped. So yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm a little leery about what we're going to get next. Not that I should be comparing any of these authors because they're all different people, but it's just when you've been burned twice, once bitten, twice shy.
As a story, it gets a dun dun dun. As a comparison to the first ebook, it's a dun dun dun.
Yeah, far and beyond.
So much better, which is unfair, but I'm going to say it. So much better than the first book. It hit the ground running for me. It really, these are somebody I saw a review and they said, I don't think it was one of our listeners, it was one of the people in Goodreads, I think, said, wow, this is written by somebody who feels like he's actually watched an episode of Doctor. as opposed to I'm going to give him a robotic hand.
Yeah. I'm with Holly on this one. I think that I can totally see this translating to television.
Yeah,
and it captures the characters as they were seen on TV.
Yeah, agreed.
I think so too.
He has such a good voice for the second Doctor and Jamie.
I love the fact that the Master, made his appearance and very sneakily, and before, before he became the War Doctor,
And I love
Doctor, the War Chief.
Yeah.
I cringed a little bit when we get to the Archons on your behalf, actually, because I thought, it's kind of sort of an anthropomorphized blob. So we've got tentacles and...
That's an anthropomorphized blob?
Yeah,
that's fine. That's
it's a fish thing.
It's not, but it wasn't... I didn't imagine any particular...
Well, how about their puppets?
They were also glass-like, though,
the
too.
Glass gorillas.
Glass gorillas.
Yeah. Oh, the glass gorillas, yeah. Well,
I just attributed it to we've got to make it sound like something because we can't show you what we're designing. We have to call it something.
The Archons in themselves, though, I almost got the impression were mostly shapeless. Those were the forms that they continued to take in order to communicate and to articulate.
Well, and he's got that one line toward the end where he mentions that once upon a time they were apparently aquatic.
Yeah,
and so I mean, it makes sense. Those are
I
shapes
thought he meant they were just liquid. But I love the story. I love the setup. I love Jamie in this. He's so wonderful. I mean, he's helping this guy who essentially he thinks is being mugged or attacked at the very least, and he's grateful for the book. He doesn't want to take anything. He doesn't want to take cash. The guy gives him the book, and he wants to, the first thought is, I can give this to the doctor. I love that about Jamie, is that's his first thought is, what am I going to do this? I can't even read it. Oh, I'll give it to the doctor. He'd like it. I mean, it's so thoughtful. And so I liked that in Jamie there. So I thought that the author nailed Jamie's role in all of the things that I would have expected Jamie to do. Jamie not being very knowledgeable of what was going on, but still being very, what's the word for it? Intuitive about what's happening. You know what I mean? That was very cool and very in line with...
And even getting conked on the head and then having to chase after them and doing the great loping strides across the planet. Just
doing the John Carter.
These are things that I can see Jamie doing. Getting to the city, which is this huge, immense thing, but all roads lead to the tower, and it's got a door. And he just assumes, that's... and it's like, dude,
you go in.
Best companion status. Right there. Because it was so well done.
I like the exploration of the idea that the Gallifreyans stole the TARDIS from the Archons.
The idea, the concept,
the seed,
design,
what they call it, and grew their own from it. That's a really cool way to also add your own mythos to Doctor Who and expand the story.
Raise your hand if you could see Rassilon doing it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Although,
Dibs.
Mine, and then we're going to kill you.
I'll tell you.
That's Rassilon.
What bothered me was the Necronomicon. It could have been anything.
Yeah.
It could have been any device. It's almost like we felt a need to get that mythos into Doctor Who, but we didn't use it as it should have been used. The Necronomicon should have been something different than it ends up being. It should have just been any device, and they didn't do a good job explaining why or how it functioned in a way. We know what its purpose was, but it really didn't give us any sort of inclination as to why it was used as the device to get the Doctor to. Oh, well, we know why. I guess what am I searching for?
If this is in fact the Necronomicon, the one that all the myths and legends are built up around, the Master would never have let go of it.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, it's more powerful of a tool for him to, I don't know, raise an army of zombies and take over the Earth or something. I mean, that's not outside the realm of his weaselly little mind. Yeah. But if it had just been some sort of thing that would have caused an automatic recall TARDIS to jump there. Okay, then that makes more sense to me than this.
Exactly. Then
now,
why does it have to be the Necronomicon?
Within the confines of a 40-50 page book,
Okay, but I guess maybe my problem with it is I didn't have to have more explanation had it not been the Necronomicon.
Right.
Had we not
that's
used
true. I agree
such
with you.
an idyllic or such a really kind of a big piece of science fantasy, horror, everything borrows from that concept. And I think the concept was originally devised by H.P. Lovecraft, right? Am I
I believe you're right.
correct? That's where that originally
I
comes
kind of
from?
wonder if that's not where maybe hints of the Archons were going when they kind of all melded into the one creature.
Well,
I was
and I wondered
expecting
about
a Cthulhu
that.
reference.
I actually was. In fact,
maybe.
I would have been if they had just even dropped that idea a little heavier. I would have been fine with it being the Necronomicon because that would have at least lent into that mythology a little bit. That would have I could have formulated in my head. Oh, this is where this kind of all comes from, and it's less than what we think it is. You know what I mean? So I would have been okay with that had we gone that direction. But he didn't drop that heavy enough in order for me to come to that final conclusion. So I don't know. That was my biggest problem with it. Other than that, everything else was splendid. I loved it. I also like the idea that the Master shows up, and we never say the Master.
Yeah.
The Doctor says, "I have an idea who that was."
Now, has he used that particular?
I didn't remember
I
that
couldn't
being
find it
a
anywhere.
pseudonym, but Holly remembered it that way, so it must be in something somewhere.
A lot of TARDIS Wiki is that way, and when you click the link, it goes to the Master. So it doesn't really.
But it doesn't say.
But is that in reference of the Nameless City, though? Is that or is it? It doesn't say.
Holly, let us know if you know where that, or if anybody else, for that matter, happens
knows
to know where that.
See if I can.
originated.
Because I couldn't find anything, but
But I suspected from the very beginning, not until he reveals himself to the guy that helped him, the mugger that helped him, that I suspect that it was a Master. But once that happened, I suspected from that point on, when he kind of reveals who he is, or his motives, I sort of suspected that's why. And I like the idea that the Masters are planted in here, but is not the catalyst of everything. Yeah. So that was cool. I like that as well.
And I guess there's that one other line where they talk about
The Time Monster.
So it's in the Time Monster?
Yeah. He goes by the name of Professor Vasquez.
I didn't remember.
Well, Greek version of Master.
That ties in then with. I was just going to mention there's that one line where they talk about the language that hadn't been spoken on Earth since the time of Atlantis. Which I just kind of chalked up to.
Yeah.
We're really trying to carbon date this book as old.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a nice tie in that way.
That does tie it in real well. Okay. Well, good. Good.
Okay.
Good. Well, thank
Keith.
you, Holly. We have resolved that, so we don't need you to write in. No.
Thanks for doing the legwork for me, Keith.
Yep. Quick.
I had, I've forgotten that. I didn't. I mean, that wouldn't have come to me. But now
All
that
I
you say
remember
that,
from Time Monsters,
naked
now
Benton.
that
You say that, now that you say that, I
naked
sort
baby
of
Benton.
remember that. So.
No, there were so many things in this story that I really liked. I liked the pacing was well done. It moved at a good clip.
I think this was a shorter book, too. I think it's 40-some pages, isn't it? Instead of the 54 we got. I think it was like 49 or something. I mean, it was only a few.
Doing more with
shorter.
less. And I liked how the Doctor... I love the scene where the Archons are threatening him, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. And he's cowering in fear, as only the second Doctor can. He's literally in the chamber of the Wizard of Oz, and he's kind of being the cowardly lion there for a minute. And then they say, and we're going to take your ship. I think not. And he just, immediately erupts into the other version of Patrick Troughton.
He had a nerve.
And just,
You didn't just hit a nerve, you hit that nerve.
Yeah. So well done. And I love when after everything's all said and done and the TARDIS is kind of back together and repaired and pretty again, and he's kind of patting the console, talking to it. It was like, this is so Matt Smith. It's so very something that the Doctor as a character does. High marks on this one.
Yeah. I hope the rest of the series can keep up the... I mean, this sets the bar high
it really
for this
does.
entire anthology series now, so...
Here's hoping. Looking forward to 3.
All right, well, there you go. What's next on the schedule?
Well, coming up this week for Friday Night Who, a short week again since we're recording late, David Tennant and Planet of the Ood, which we are doing because we have some audio adventures. And thank you, Keith, for kind of kicking me in the bum to get something posted on the schedule, because I would have surprised you all with it if he hadn't done this.
And it's not just one, it's two.
It's two. Big Finish, 39 in the main range, which is Bang Bang a Boom. And number 37, that you're right, I did reverse those here.
So it is listed that way, yeah.
No, I did it backwards.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is listed backwards.
Let's do 37.
It is correct.
It's correct.
Okay.
Oh, it's correct on the schedule?
I thought I read it that way.
It's correct
online.
on the schedule.
I wrote it down wrong here.
Number 37 is Sandman.
So number 37, The Sandman, which is 6th Doctor adventure with Evelyn. And then number 39, Bang Bang a Boom, which is a 7th Doctor story. In a roundabout way. We'll get there. And I did that because obviously the following week we've got Sylvester McCoy. Now, the following week, there's been some kind of up in the air as to maybe, maybe not. I think we're probably just best to go ahead and call it, and we're going to say we're going to do Remembrance of the Daleks for Friday Night Who, because Sylvester McCoy will be coming to Planet Comic-Con. Our involvement in that may be somewhat limited because we've got some pretty hefty responsibilities at the con. So enjoy that one. Our next show will then be Planet Comic-Con, and I'm going to go ahead and drop this here even though it's not on the schedule yet. For those of you that don't own it, go buy The Mutants with John Pertwee, because we will be breaking that up over the next 2 weeks of Friday Night Who. So we'll do parts 1 through 3 on the 21st, come back and finish it up on the 28th. The last show of the month, we will be doing The Mutants and the 3rd ebook, Spear of Destiny. So that's our 3rd Doctor celebration for that month. So there's that.
All right. Well, if there's no other business at hand, that's going to do it for this week. Until next week, I'm Glenn. I almost forgot what I was supposed to say. I'm Glenn. Yeah.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Keith.
That's how tired I am. Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Stay away from the sugar.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.